with our host, Polly Suba. Let's go ahead and begin the show.
I ran into this girl the night before. She reminded me of a golden shore. She was nothing like your average girl next door. She liked DVDs, tattoos, and Paramore. She'd say half a mile ago, more for boy. And I'd say sad dispenser to Gaigi Kulor. She'd paint colors round the galaxies and more. I ran into this girl the night before.
Welcome to it, another Brightside here on Wave 105B. But Lunas, it's Monday, September 22nd, 2:09 in the afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. Here's our number, 671-922-1051 or 1052. We're online, thewave105.com. as well as our YouTube channel, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. Returning back from another weekend, and I'll tell you, I need it's one of those weekends where I need a weekend for the weekend because it was so busy, and so it's kind of nice to just be able to go back to my regular schedule of a Monday where you just take your sweet time, get to work, and start working on some stuff, right? Because the weekend is just one thing after another, right? I feel like it was one thing after another, even on a Friday going into the weekend, yeah. And so, let's see here. There was like a whole concert too that I didn't even get an opportunity to check out. I saw some people posting about Spawn Breezy over at the UOG Cowell Fieldhouse, and that was a lot of people, standing room only, into the bleachers, right? And so it's been a while since I seen like a concert there. I'm looking forward to.
The last time that I've seen the field house crowded like that was actually Russ. And
that was a while.
And Russ was actually crazy because Russ didn't even come on the time he was supposed to. But everyone stayed and waited, and he was so kind about it. He's like, "We're sorry for making everybody wait." But that's the last time I really remember seeing it so packed like that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even there. I just saw photos, but I was like, dang, everybody went to the concert.
That's what it looked like from the footage that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they were showing from the stage all the way to the back, I just saw heads, like from the front of the stage all the way to the back where the bleachers were. And again, that was Spawn Breezy that was here on Island. And he comes around every now and then, right? He's like
does.
It's like
he's like in rotation,
right?
But he hasn't been here in a while. I think maybe like a couple years. Yeah.
I feel like he's like an adopted son, though.
Honestly, I remember when he first came to Guam.
Yeah.
He came here with Tanel. He came here with Garrett Douglas. Do you remember? He's the one that sings.
Ain't he
made
from
a song
Guam
about
too?
Guam. No, he's actually from
Garrett's
California. No, he's not.
I thought he's Chamorro.
That's what I thought, but he did make a song about falling in love with a Chamarita girl.
There, I remember that song.
Yes, Touchdown.
Yes.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
and I think with Spawn Breezy, he just kind of connected with the Guahan crowd so much so that he does feel like that. Like, he's like, how Baba B is always coming here and he's really like a son of Guam, really.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's at that level yet, but I understand what you're saying. Like, I thought, you would think he's from Guam too.
Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to, I haven't even bought my ticket yet, but I want to go watch Tomoa.
Oh, man.
I'm looking at a lot of the tickets on the floor are sold.
Wow.
There's only a few.
Wow.
There's only a few seats on the floor, and they're towards the back.
Oh, snap.
Let me see here. It looks like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Under 200 tickets on the floor are left.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's here?
Here. Tomoa is going to be at the University of Guam.
Oh, he was a hit.
Saturday, November 1st at 7 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a big hit when he came here, too. I remember people were just saying, like, he's really so funny.
I
You
think
know?
I can still get general admission tickets. It's $34.55.
There we go. That sounds
That's
good.
not too bad.
I mean, shoot, if you can hear the jokes, that's good.
Yeah, right.
Right? Like, I want to hear the
I
jokes.
sat on the top of the bleachers at the
And you
very
could see
top
very
to
well.
watch. What is his name? Joe Coy.
Yeah.
I watched him
fine.
on the bleachers. It was fine. It was more than fine.
It's okay. I don't want him
Yeah.
to call me out. No, thank you.
Right.
I don't want to be up there.
Yeah,
He's
you're like
gonna-
on the splash
Yeah,
zone.
you're gonna. They're gonna find something to talk about.
Yes.
No thanks.
Yeah.
I do that every day. I don't need that, Tamua. Thank you.
It's
That-
gonna be fun. I heard he was hilarious last time.
Yes, the same.
And it wasn't at the field house.
I think it was maybe at one of those like hotel kind of
Yes.
setups, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we should ask Ed Suarez because I heard he was the host last time.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Maybe we should. Ed.
Yep.
He's across.
I could, if I wanted to, I could just press click right, or I could click right now and buy 2 tickets.
Ooh.
Yeah, general admission is only $34.55. I'm looking at it right now. I gotta buy these tickets already.
Honestly.
Yeah, because I should have known that he was gonna sell out pretty fast. I mean, because here I am thinking though, the UOG Fieldhouse, it's huge,
Yeah. It's been
but
huge,
I don't necessarily
thousands.
need the ticket for the ground for the floor.
No. You just want to be there.
Yeah, the bleachers just at like eye level, just a little bit higher.
Yeah. I don't think the
right?
bottom's worth it. I would
Not in the back. All you're seeing are just heads.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at least when you're up high, sure, it's far, but I
Yeah.
could still, you could, it's not like you're in those huge theaters like back
Right.
in States where it's like you got to
Yeah.
use the eyeglasses
Yeah.
just to see the orchestra play, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So I think
All
we're
right.
good, man. Click it. I dare you.
Now I have to ask permission
Of
first.
course. You're so good. You're so good. You know, when I have a situation where I'm in I could just click the button and do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to think of you and be like, man, I don't have anyone to ask. I'm just going to click it.
Yeah, you should just
You're
click
so
it.
funny. I love
But
that.
I gotta ask permission. But I gotta remind the family that we gotta go do this. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's just around the corner.
Good.
Yeah, I mean it's October. I mean it's not October yet, but
But
I mean
it's coming. It's only
Yeah.
the 22nd. This is what, the second
Right?
to the last week of September?
Yep.
What the heck?
September 29th is Monday. That's when
Yeah.
they're gonna do the session.
Mm.
I just don't understand why they're waiting for the 11th hour to decide whether or not they're gonna go for an override. I'm betting that they are gonna go for this override for the budget bill because it doesn't make any other sense. Like, why would you wait to not override and just
Yeah.
be like, well, okay, what do we do now?
They have to ask permission before they click purchase.
I guess.
I guess so, right? No,
So-
that's true though. Yeah.
Maybe the only thing that I'm thinking is they're waiting for the last moment so that way the governor has no choice to do anything else, right?
Oh, hot dang.
So, but that still doesn't even make sense because if you go for the override, it doesn't matter. You have 10 votes, the governor can't do anything,
Right,
and the
so then-
budget passes. So, if you know this is happening, just do it now.
Maybe there's other kind of. Do you think there's other kind of talks going on? I mean, that's the only thing. Not to make it sound so sinister is not the word, but not to make it sound like something shady or anything. I'm just genuinely like saying, like, I wonder if they're trying to talk to each other about it.
I'm sure they are.
You know, like, you know, is this really like are we gonna really override, or what would our other choices be? You know, I mean, that's the only thing I could really think of as to why, because it seems right. Like if you have all the votes, then why wouldn't you just go all in? Do it
Yeah.
now, and why are we wasting all this time? Sorry to say.
Right. And so I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out because I saw the session agenda, which doesn't start until next Monday, and what they have, what they're going to be debating on, and on there is Bill 44, but that just tells me that they have enough votes. Because you're waiting 2 days, you're going to go for the override, and you have until October 1st, which I'm looking at the bills. There's not that many to debate on, but you still have to get through Monday, Tuesday, that's the 30th, and then you'll go for the override. And so I'm just still kind of scratching my head because you should go for the override this week, just in case you don't have it. So, I don't know. You have either Senator Joseph Augustine or you have Senator Tina Rose Munoz Barnes, and at this point, I don't even see the governor putting out press release after press release, or Senator Therese Terlai put out a statement saying, I advocate. I think this was Friday morning. I advocate, or I am calling on the people of Guam to call their senators for this bill to be added into the session agenda on a public-private partnership for GMH, which I see it has not been included. But I didn't see that same kind of energy with the governor to do the same, right? Knowing that I think it's, at this point, it's just like, okay, they vetoed my bill. They went into, we went and did some special sessions. They gave $40 million to GMH. They have yet to act on the two other bills that gives me emergency powers to assist GMH, bypassing the Attorney General and allowing us to go and build an infrastructure over at Mangilau. And then that's it. But nothing more for the bill. The budget bill, which now I think is, they have enough votes. That's why they're okay with waiting until the 11th hour. But all of these agencies that are wondering what's happening now are just sitting and trying to understand what is going to happen on October 1st. So if you have the votes, just do it now. Do it this week. Let me see here. I know the legislature is in session now. I think there's an oversight hearing now on the Guam Preservation Trust. Yeah, that's what they're working on right now. The OPA is sharing some findings, concerns regarding the Guam SHPO law and rules and regulations. So this is what is happening right now. It's an informational hearing on the Guam State Historic Preservation Office, Guam Historic Resources Division, and the Program Area on Review and Compliance. And so that is what that's what they're doing right now at the Guam legislature. And so every now and then when we go to break, I'll peek in and see how they're doing with that. But otherwise, on the other side of this break, we're going to be hanging out with Jonathan Savaris, right? He ran for senator. I don't remember if he ran last time. I know he ran 2 years ago.
Yeah, just the 2 years ago.
2 years ago, right?
Yeah, he didn't run after, yeah.
So he was also part of the planning for the healthcare town hall meeting that happened last week alongside Speaker Frank Bloss Jr. And so it was to assess the big, beautiful bill in the U.S., right? The law is a tax overhaul and spending cuts package. However, there are questions related to Medicare, Medicaid, and healthcare funding in Guam. And so the goal of this town hall meeting was to educate the public and allow the community leaders and medical experts to discuss these uncertainties and maybe even some opportunities. And so I wanted to hear from Jonathan Savaris, right? Because he is an Army veteran. He's also part of I think he's also part of the Guam Lions Club. and so we'll talk to him about how, because I didn't go to this meeting last when they had it at the Dededo Senior Citizen Center. I plan on going to the one on October 15th at the Tamuning Senior Citizen Center, right? And so I wanted to ask him a couple things, how it all went down, what were some of the concerns at the town hall meeting, and what are some of his concerns too, especially as a veteran. Is it him already? Does he want to come on already? Yeah, we'll just get him on now. Yeah. Hafade, is this Jonathan?
Yes, it is.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, we'll take you now if that's cool. I know you got some family arrangements going on, so I appreciate the conversation now.
I appreciate the time, you know, and I appreciate your your listeners, and I appreciate you and Reach. You know, you guys are always trying to put out great information and keep our community informed, and I think that's the most important thing that people can do.
Yeah. So if you can kind of give us a rundown of the town hall meeting, I didn't attend. I plan on going to the next one in Tamuning.
Yes, actually, the next one, I believe, and I'm just waiting on the flyers and everything. It looks like mid-part October that we'll be getting into the next one. And then as soon as the flyers get out, I'll make sure I get that to Reese as well as you guys. So you guys, if possible, if you guys can please share that with your audience.
For sure.
But, you know, the goal of the town hall, right, and I want to thank Speaker Blas, AMC, Dr. Akamoto, Dr. Wynn, the Guam Pharmacy organization, Eric from GRMC. We had the Guam Diamond Lions Club, and then Ben Servino, who used to be the director of DISIT, but now he has a medical transport thing.
Yes.
So, you know, we had all these great people come out, and just to share what the goal is for the medical, right? We know that there are changes with the Big Beautiful Bill that's going to be affecting Medicare and Medicaid, and we have a lot of people on our island, our indigent. There are people, so many people who utilize Medicare and Medicaid, and we have to start shifting the thought process, right, a little bit. We have to treat our medical care like, instead of being reactive and just relying on our hospital, because we know that there are struggles that, we know that the struggle to build the new hospital is ongoing. We know that there are struggles internally within GMH, and the goal is to actually try to help educate people on Medicare and Medicaid to start thinking about their medical as in a more proactive approach, right? Utilize the systems that are out there. We also had the community health centers, which are bringing, there's a whole clinic down there in Arahan for our southern for people in the south,
right?
And we want to encourage more people to actually be more proactive about their health care instead of waiting till you're Malongu and then all of a sudden you find out that there's other things wrong.
Right.
Because that's been a lot of things that, over the years, right, I've been hearing the stories, I thought I was okay. Then all of a sudden somebody goes in and they have all these other outlying conditions that are leading to another. But, with the big, beautiful bill and the changes in Medicare and Medicaid, we, according to the Guam Pharmacy Association, there are changes that are going to possibly that are going to shift the amount that people have to pay for certain medications. That's huge, right? Especially our Manonku and who are on a fixed income. And then, of course, we know that people don't necessarily, most of our people, because of the way that the consumer pricing has been going up, most people can't even afford it. Can't afford $100 setback on their bills because then they have to choose between food or their medication.
Right.
So, with that, we have that side. And then I know that in listening to what's going on in the States, they're actually looking more towards preventative health care. And that's kind of where the cuts are coming from, right? They're sending more things into preventative health care, and then the reactive stuff, they're kind of pulling back. We know that and sadly, there are things that within the certain elements that in the medical side that they're pulling back from because it doesn't necessarily align with the agenda in Washington, D.C. now, as it's been shifted. So those are the cuts that Speaker Blas was talking about. And then, of course, we want to encourage people to come out and join us for the next October, the one that we're getting ready to put to do in October. Because if we can do that and get more people, because actually, from what I understand, is we want to try to do a whole island swoop.
Right.
So if we can get the more people we get to come out and who show interest in just absorbing the information and coming out with questions that they do have. We're actually going to start tapping into different organizations who are Micronesian community, right, from the outer islands. We know that there's a gap. So we're going to try to close out the gap and get these guys into services so they can actually work on preventative healthcare versus reactive.
Right. I think even I've been following your mom for quite some time, right? And how she's also connected. I think she's on the board with the community health centers with public health. Yeah.
Yes.
So
she is.
So I see that's probably where you have a concern, but I'm finding out just from your own advocacy that this is something that you are very passionate about regardless, right? I mean, this is you've had your own issues with health too, right?
Absolutely.
And
So I went through a massive medical transformation with just staying on top of it, right?
Right.
When I was medically retired from the Army about almost 12 years now. And when I retired and I came home, I was going through massive PTSD treatment. I was going through a lot of pain management treatment. I would have to go off island just to get certain things taken care of to cover the gaps. And I made choices for myself, and everybody should make choices for themselves that are going to work around their medical. Mm-hmm. And when I made those choices, I was able to come off a cane, 10 years on a cane. And I was able to come off because I started to learn how to manage my pain. And now I'm in a lot of more preventive treatment. I'm actually doing massage therapy, acupuncture, chiropractor, and then of course my medical cannabis. Right, that was one of the bigger shifts that I changed. I came off the PTSD medication. I substituted it for cannabis. Came off the narcotics. I substituted it for cannabis. And when I started to learn how to use cannabis as a medicine, it really helped the rest of my system.
Wow. Yeah. I've had conversations with you about that specifically. Yeah. And so now with the partnering up, like you had mentioned, with Guam Pharmacy Association and GRMC, Dr. Akimoto, right? These town hall meetings were how long ago were you planning this, and then understanding that you've been doing the advocacy as well, going from like senior citizen center from senior citizen center to get people to know about this.
So it's funny. It wasn't maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. Dr. Akimoto reached out to me and said, "John, I know you're not scared to go out into the community, and if we can we start this in Dedido?" So of course, when that was brought to me, I called both senior citizen centers, called the mayor, and I said, "Mayor, is it okay?" Because yes, the senior citizen centers are under the Division of Senior Citizens.
Sure.
But the mayors are the ones who are really in the village, and these are people who work very closely with the mayors.
Right.
So I called them up and I said, this is the plan. And if possible, can I go to the Stumbo Center? And can I go to the Dedido Center and invite our Manunku?
Yeah.
I actually did a whole roundabout maybe 2 years ago with the Guam Diamond Lions Club. And we went to every single senior citizen center, including our adult daycares, right? The Dementia Center and the Dementia Center, and then our adult daycare center in Machechi, as well as the one in Narahan. And we did the File of Life, which is an initiative that was started and continues through the Guam Diamond Lions Club. And it's an emergency contact card with all your pertinent medical information, what doctor, what insurance, your insurance number, in case of an emergency, right? And the projects within the community are always going to keep coming, and I'm not going to shy away, especially when we can try to do something to get people on a better track.
Right. Yeah. I think also just it is there are still many concerns with how the big beautiful bill is going to affect us, and the agencies that it can affect, because we'll get information one week and then we'll get an update saying, oh no, that's actually not how we will be affected. But then, sometimes that information doesn't get passed down, and so people aren't updated with the latest and greatest information.
And that's why we're just trying to do our part with this, right? And to be frank, it's even when the big beautiful bill finally comes up and the changes are starting to get implemented, we're going to find out. I guarantee you, we're going to find out that there are more gaps that we're missing. And it's because when there are massive changes coming out of places in the States, we only have one representative out there who's out there trying to keep track of it, and it's just the curse of our status, right? And I know you guys you always talk about political status and stuff like that, and this is just part of that curse that's associated with the status that we're in.
Right.
It's because we're not completely incorporated.
Right.
And the things that are coming out, there are exemptions, and we hear it all the time. Just look at what they did with RICA, and I commend Mr. Robert Celestial, because he just put a presentation together, and I was down there, and I commend him because he's still fighting, even though they ripped us off the current PARS bill.
Yeah.
He's still out there. I know that Dr. Robert Underwood, and there's so many people over the years who are fighting for radiation compensation here, and yet in the federal level we don't have a voice to actually. We have a voice, but that voice isn't as strong as it could be as if we had a vote. Right. We don't have a vote. We can't barter a vote to put us on a vote on the floor, saying, "Hey, you put us back on the bill, in the radiation compensation."
Yeah.
And so we don't have that luxury. But you know what? And it was sad because they were just talking about how people in states where they were just developing the stuff, not where they were blowing it up. We're right here next door to where they were blowing up doing the nuclear testings. But they added states that didn't even have as much impact in their region.
Yeah.
And they added them in, and they took us out. And then we look, and we go back to medical healthcare, right? We know that on Guam, we have high rates of cancer, we have high rates of diabetes. All these things are tied into this radiation stuff, and it's generational.
Yeah.
We didn't have this when pre-World War II, pre-nuclear testing. So, this is why when it comes to medical issues, we want more people to be proactive about their medical, so we can get ahead of it. And then hopefully when all this PAR stuff comes up, and they put us back on under that we get people they put us back for compensation, we can actually get people tied in and get them the health care, not just the monetary compensation, but get them the health care because those conditions they're lingering. They're sitting there, and people have to make choices of I'm going to take care of my health care, or I'm going to buy food for my family. And that shouldn't be what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm even seeing, more and more people are not even buying insurance for their vehicles, and so what does that happen? They can't get a registration of their car, and then so it affects all of us, because if I get into an accident or a crash with somebody that doesn't have insurance, doesn't have their registration updated, that's going to come out of my pocket, right? Or I'm going to
you have to pay your deductible because you and then that person is just going to scave.
Right.
It's people who, and it's sad because I've been in that situation where somebody hit me who didn't have insurance, and I had to bite the bullet. You know, we went chasing the person, but nothing.
Right.
To no resolve, because you can't call their insurance. You know, you see them on the road, but then even if you approach them and try, hey, you stole me money.
Yeah.
I mean, like, oh well, it's a.
Well, you can even.
Handle.
You can even go to you can try to sue them, but you know, I mean, they're going through they're dealing with so many social issues as well, and so I think we have to really start thinking about the systemic issues that are facing our community, right? And so when we look at affordable healthcare, affordable housing, the cost of living, like all of these things are affecting our day-to-day life, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, when we look at, and I know talk local cost housing projects constantly with, now I'm so glad that the more people are buying homes because through HUD, and there's a Department of Agriculture or the grant that if you're getting disqualified, you can go federal program, and they're going to help you try to get qualified. And those kind of programs are great because now you're competing against the BAH or the overseas housing outside the military. That's a number not created here. It's another decent number. These are not Guam numbers that are driving us out of paradise.
Yeah.
It's not. It's the price we live to live. We are more people on Guam are getting priced out of paradise.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because I'm friends. Pretty sure you've had friends, and I'm pretty sure you, Reese, myself, we've all had friends since COVID, right? Especially we saw so many people leave in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is just we're not able to survive on Guam as comfortable as we can with family, and we can stretch our dollars in the States.
Yeah. I really appreciate your efforts on this topic, and like I agree with Dr. Akimoto that you are somebody that's not afraid to get out there into the community. I think also I like your approach too.
I appreciate that. The approach is it's a community approach.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up in the legislature. I grew up in the village. I grew up behind somebody who it community effort. It takes a village. It takes a village to raise a family. It takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
And it takes a village to overcome all the problems that we have on Guam.
Yeah.
And that's a narrative that we should be teaching our people. We should be seeing that because it was the old adage that kept Guam great.
I think I understand what you're saying. You're breaking up a little bit, but I can read between the lines and basically how you're doing this is you're not waiting to be in a leadership role. You're not waiting to be a senator. You're not waiting to be a mayor. You see a barrier, you see an obstacle, and you are working with those that have some of the expertise to get to the bottom of this and share all of this information with those in the community. And I think that is the way to go. We don't need to be senators. We don't need to be in government to start doing the good work now.
Absolutely, and I'll that I learned over the years, and I want to encourage people to do this. Every young is a 1% more for the community. It will go a long way if everybody starts doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate
you.
Yeah.
And thanks for the time. Thank you for the opportunity, Paulie. Really, you guys have a good day to everybody as well.
We'll keep in touch, yeah? Especially as we get closer to October. Middle of October. All right. Take care.
Okay. Thanks, Paulie.
There you go. Jonathan Savares. And then, I appreciate his efforts alongside so many community partners, the Lions Club, Dr. Akimoto, Speaker Frank Bloss Jr., the Guam Pharmacy Association, sharing some of this very important information. And so somewhere in the middle of October, they're looking at the Tamuning Senior Citizen Center to be there and share more information, or if there are any. If it's the same information, it's going to be a different crowd, right? Or maybe by then we'll even have more information that they can share. And hopefully, I hope to have the opportunity to get there. I know it's usually a little bit after this show anyway, so I'll be able to get down there and check it out too and cover it. 2:43 in the afternoon, we will take the break. Wave 105.
Have you tried all 19 Subway Series sandwiches? All crafted to crave, from flavorful cheesesteaks and chicken subs, delicious Italianos, mouthwatering clubs, to the high-protein deli heroes. The Subway Series delivers maximum crave factor. Get what you're craving for today. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh.
Half a day at Wave 105 FM. We want to talk. We want to talk about the things that are important to our island and our community, and we want to talk with you. If you want to join the conversation, if you want to chime in, we welcome it. We welcome all points of view, all thoughts, all perspectives. Call or WhatsApp us at 671-922-1051. If that line is busy, then call us at 922-1052. This is Talk for Everyone. Thanks for listening to Wave 105 FM, the Talk of Guam.
Here's Energy in 15. Quick power facts from GPA.
GPA crews work year-round on preventative maintenance, from clearing vegetation near power lines to upgrading equipment. This behind-the-scenes work protects the island's electrical system and helps keep power reliable for customers.
And here's another tip from GPA.
Report emergencies or downed lines anytime by calling GPA's Power System Control Center at 671-475-1472. Our crews are on call 24/7.
Energy in 15 is brought to you by Guam Power Authority.
Hapade Guausi Pali Suba. Don't forget to catch the Brightside every weekday afternoon from 2 to 6 on Wave 105. From big laughs to big issues, if it's happening on island, we're breaking it down with island leaders, business owners, and you. I want to send so much love to our sponsors, Micropack, Local Jerk, GTA, Sherwin-Williams Paint, Chili's, and Subway. Take a break from all of that shade and join the Brightside on Wave 105.
For your pet's best health, this is Soundbites, and I'm Alan Davidson. You check ingredients and plan healthy meals for yourself, and there are endless apps to help you eat better. But what about your pets? After all, they rely on you. That's where Safe Pet Treats comes in, for iPhone and Android. Just scan any pet food barcode, and the app breaks out the ingredients. It shows you what's good, what's not so good, and why. Questionable items get flagged, along with clear explanations. If a product's under recall, you'll know right away. Your pet counts on you for safe, healthy food every single day. And you can count on Safe Pet Treats to help keep them at their healthiest. Find Safe Pet Treats now at safepettreats.com. With Soundbites, I'm Alan Davidson for CBS News.
Nike has changed its slogan. The sports world and the marketing profession are shaken to their shoes. I'm Jeff Colvin of Fortune magazine with the Fortune Business Update. Nearly 40 years ago, Nike introduced the Just Do It slogan, which fueled one of the most successful and influential marketing campaigns ever. But now it has changed Just Do It to Why Do It with a question mark. Opinions are divided. It's either brilliant or a terrible mistake. The mistake camp says, why change it? Just Do It is timeless, universal, and instantly recognizable, they say. It should be protected, not changed. The brilliant camp says, why do it speaks to today's young consumers who are skeptical about everything. There is another explanation for the change. Nike's stock price is less than half of what it was 4 years ago. Just maybe the company figures it needs to make some big changes. I'm Jeff Colvin.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show hosts, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Brightside here on Wave 105. My name is Paulie Suba here. 671-922-1051 or 1052. I'm trying to do like a whole timeline here with the Dildren as it pertains to Gigo. 1,112 customers in Gigo received a notice, a health advisory on September 12th, right? And so, Reese, somebody sent that to you on Friday afternoon, right?
Yes, this came from a group chat, but then it had one of those forwarded many times.
Right.
Yeah.
And so GWA sent a press release regarding Dildren on Saturday. And so they mentioned that not everybody received it. Not all the GWA customers received it because it's affecting those in Gigo. The advisory warned that Dildren, which is a banned pesticide to kill termites, was found in a water well at levels above Guam EPA's interim action level. And so GWA has, in this release, it has 43,780 customer accounts. 1,112 accounts in Gigo were affected, all tied to one contaminated well. So it's not island-wide. Notifications were limited to the customers of that well. And it talks about how the Gigo well in question tested above parts per billion, 0.2 parts per billion, triggering mandatory notification. And so at 0.2 parts per billion, it mentions that there are long-term cancer risks, and that is why it triggered this mandatory notification. Because the well serves Upi Elementary, they took some precautions, right? So they installed a NSF certified filtration system at all 10 water fountains and the cafeteria sink. These filters will bring Dildren levels down to below the safety standard. Coordination was done between GWA, Guam EPA, and GDOE, as well as public health. They also set up fill stations and water tankers in Gigo. GWA Y15 well site, the entrance by Gale Breeze, the Gigo Mayor's Office, the Gigo Gym, pump station site on Marine Corps Drive by Chalon Arendu. And so these tankers supply clean water from unaffected wells. They say that they're fixing the problem. GWA and Guam EPA have been planning long-term solutions since 2023. They will be installing a granular activated carbon treatment system at the affected deep wells. It's costing $6.4 million. It is funded by grants and bonds, and it is set to be completed by summer of 2026. And so the exact source of the Dildren is unknown. They give in this release that came out on Saturday, possibly old buildings that were treating Dildren for termites may have been demolished or disturbed. Rainwater likely washed contaminated soil into the groundwater. If you want more information, you can call 671-588-4751, 588-4751. And so when I'm thinking about this, I'm like, are these people that are affected going to have to get water from these tankers all the way up until the summer of 2026 until this gets fixed? And also the question is, this has been ongoing since you've been aware since 2023. I see a lawsuit coming, and sure enough, there is one. Notice of intent to sue from Camacho Titano LLP attorneys at law. This is to Michelle Lastimosa, Guam EPA, and Miguel Bordalio, Guam Waterworks Authority. Notice of intent to sue and a Sunshine Act request. The Camacho is leaving Camacho, former AG. Titano is Shannon Titano. And so it says here again, a letter to Guam EPA and GWA. We are writing on behalf of several families whose drinking water is contaminated with dieldrin and who attended the recent public meeting. This letter provides formal notice that we intend to pursue legal action under Guam law and any and all applicable federal statutes, including but not limited to the Safe Drinking Water Act, the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, and the Clean Water Act, if immediate action is not taken to provide safe water and transparent information to affected families. GWA has confirmed that dieldrin, a pesticide banned for more than 35 years because it causes cancer, is in Guam's tap water at dangerous levels. GWA has argued that because dieldrin is not federally regulated, it is not a problem. This ignores the fact that dieldrin was banned precisely because it is too dangerous for any use. The U.S. EPA has established health advisory levels indicating that any concentration of dieldrin above, again, 0.002 parts per billion increases cancer risk. Guam EPA has also adopted interim action levels of 0.2 parts per billion for long-term cancer risk and 0.5 parts per billion for short-term non-cancer effects. In bold, it says GWA's own testing shows dieldrin levels averaging 1.75 parts per billion in the affected Santa Rosa area of Jigo, significantly higher than the U.S. EPA established health advisory level. On September 12, GWA issued health advisory notices to 1,112 customer accounts in Jigo, saying they cannot safely cook rice, brush teeth, or prepare food with tap water because of cancer risk. However, customer accounts do not reflect the total number of individuals affected. At the town hall meeting last week, GWA representatives said that the impacted well is one of the highest producing wells on the island and cannot be taken offline while contamination levels remain elevated. We request that you provide an estimated number of individual consumers who receive water from this well, as this better reflects the true scope of people at risk. Unfortunately, this issue has persisted for more than a decade. The U.S. EPA warned about dieldrin in GWA wells since 2012, yet GWA took no corrective action. In December of 2023, GWA promised to install water filters within a year. Despite having approved funding and selected contractors, GWA now projects completion only by summer 2026. And that's the release that they put out on Saturday. Over 2 years after their original promise. This pattern of delayed action while families face cancer risk raises serious concerns about whether agencies have fulfilled their duty to protect public health. As was pointed out at the meeting last week, we rely on both GWA and Guam EPA to look out for our safety regardless of whether something fits squarely within a regulatory framework. Guam EPA has broad authority under the Guam Safe Drinking Water Act to prevent unsafe water from reaching the public. Now is the time for Guam EPA to exercise those powers more fully. We acknowledge that some positive steps have been taken recently. Guam EPA established interim action levels and notification requirements, and GWA has provided water fill stations in Jigo and installed filtration systems at Upi Elementary to protect students. However, these measures fall short of what is needed to adequately protect families facing cancer risk. Within 14 days of receiving this notice, we request a written response that includes a plan for proactive notification of all potentially affected households. So they're asking for adequate notice to affected communities. They also want immediate safe water provisions. They want a timeline and firm commitment for providing bottled water or certified point-of-use filters to all affected families. They also want enhanced monitoring and a plan for monthly water testing and public reporting of contamination levels. They also want accelerated treatment, a detailed timeline for installing treatment systems with specific deadlines and progress milestones, and exploration of ways to expedite the current summer 2026 completion date. They want regular communication and commitment to provide families with regular updates on remediation progress and any changes in contamination levels. And population impact assessment. They want an estimated number of individual consumers, not just customer accounts, who receive water from wells with elevated dildrin levels. It says here again, your response must include specific timelines and measurable commitments to address these issues. Vague promises of exploring options such as those offered at the meeting last Thursday are not enough. They request for public records, all water test results for dildrin and other pesticides since 2020, emails, memoranda, communication about health risks of dildrin. They want the 2012 U.S. EPA letter regarding dildrin in GWA wells, all communications, presentations, meeting notes, and records related to GWA's December 2023 statements. They want contracts, bids, and technical plans for water treatment systems. They want documents reflecting or justifying any decision not to immediately provide safe water. And so again, this is a notice of intent to sue and Sunshine Act request from Camacho Titano LLP, attorneys at law, writing on behalf of several families whose drinking water is contaminated with dildrin and who attended the recent public meeting. I knew it was just a matter of time. I think this was already sent out. It's dated today, but I think that this was in the plans anyways. 3 o'clock on the dot, we will take the break. On the other side, we're going to be hanging out with the curator of the Guam Museum. There is a call for decolonization paraphernalia. Anything that you have, banners, flags, writings, notes, photographs on any of the decolonization movement, whether it be when they did the I think it was during COVID, to be honest with you, 2020, 2021, when they closed the road on Marine Corps Drive and they walked from Adelup all the way to the District Court of Guam. And any past protests that have anything to do with decolonization, there's a call out for the Guam Museum. And so we'll talk to Dr. Maget Bavakwa right after these. KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Heather Bosch.
Oh, say does that star-spangled banner.
Conservative activist Charlie Kirk is being remembered at a memorial in Glendale, Arizona. Tens of thousands have gathered.
Look at all these people that came for one man. That speaks a lot for who he really was.
CBS's Stephen Kaufman has more from State Farm Stadium.
The memorial service for conservative political activist Charlie Kirk is scheduled to run more than 3 hours, with Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, and President Donald Trump the final two speakers. The enthusiastic crowd in this packed stadium has been responding with loud applause, cheering, and standing ovations.
Justin Stife is with the group Kirk founded, Turning Point USA.
Since September 10th, my thoughts keep returning to one thing, and that's time. Charlie lived only 31 years. Yet when I reflect on those years, I see more impact and more courage and more achievement than most men accomplish in a lifetime.
On his way to the memorial, President Trump did not mention his social media post, which appeared to pressure Attorney General Pam Bondi to prosecute his political foes.
He's doing a great job. Pam Bondi is doing a great job. I think Pam Bondi is going to go down as one of the best attorney generals of the ages.
The post alarmed Democrats, and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett pointed out on CNN an investigation was dropped into claims Tom Homan accepted money from federal agents before he became border czar.
We are not supposed to figure out who is best friends with the president, and if they are closely aligned with him, then just ignore things.
All this is taking place under the specter of the government shutting down in 9 days if Congress does not approve funding. Democrats are accusing Republicans of failing to negotiate on funding for health care. The United Kingdom, Canada, Portugal, and Australia today recognized a Palestinian state. Linda Gradstein reports that is not sitting well with Israel's prime minister.
Calling the recognition a huge reward to terrorism, Netanyahu said that the latest attempt to force what he called a terrorist state in the heart of Israel will be given after he returns from the U.S. Two of his hardline coalition partners have been urging him to declare Israeli sovereignty over the West Bank, which they call by the biblical names Judea and Samaria. Israel recently approved 22 new settlements in the area.
A growing number of countries are recognizing a state of Palestine, the largely symbolic gestures meant to pressure Israel into ending its war against Hamas in Gaza. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit Progressive.com.
When I asked Scott Lucky if his last name had anything to do with his success in the trucking industry, he laughed and said, "Well, Mike, I guess you could say I've always been lucky." But when I asked him how he and his family grew Lucky Distribution Services into the company it is today, he didn't talk about luck at all. "We work hard," he said. "We keep a close eye on the bottom line, and we treat our people the right way." In other words, Scott Lucky makes his own luck, which is precisely why he switched to Pure Talk Business. "Last month, I paid the big guys $740 for 12 lines," he told me. "This month, I paid Pure Talk $420 for the exact same service." Thousands of businesses all over the country are saving real money by switching to America's most dependable 5G network, and luck has nothing to do with it. Just dial pound 250 and say micro. That's pound 250 micro to switch to a wireless company that works as hard as you do. Pure Talk.
What is the best city in the country for Java junkies?
A new survey from Wallet Hub finds Portland, Oregon is the macchiato mecca. Mostly because of the extremely high number of affordable coffee shops, many with free Wi-Fi. Number 2 is Orlando, then Long Beach, California, Seattle, the home of Starbucks, then Tampa, San Francisco, Austin, Oakland, California, and Pittsburgh. Comparisons were based on average price per pack of coffee, the average amount spent on Java per month, the percentage of population that drinks coffee, Google searches for coffee, and the number of shops with 4.5-star ratings or better. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
The National Coffee Association says 66% of Americans say they drink coffee every day, on average 3 cups a day. The U.S. consumes over 3 billion pounds of coffee annually. I'm Heather Bosch, CBS News.
Talk the way it should be. Wave 105 FM.
Successful CEOs agree that even in today's rocky economy, a key element of success is available to everyone. I'm Jeff Colvin of Fortune magazine with the Fortune Business Update. Many workers are worried these days, afraid AI might eliminate their job, and noting that overall hiring has plummeted. But CEOs say they've succeeded largely because of their attitude, their mindset. Carl Eschenbach, CEO of Workday, says the attitude you bring to the office and to your peers will determine a lot of your success. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy agrees. He says an embarrassing amount of how well you do, particularly in your 20s, has to do with attitude. The CEO of Brooks Running, Dan Sheridan, recently told Fortune that maintaining the right mindset, especially optimism, even when times are tough, is what sets good leaders apart from great ones. And it doesn't cost a thing. I'm Jeff Colvin.
This camera's not boring. This is Soundbites, and I'm Alan Davidson. Most of us just open the camera app, aim, and snap a shot. But one app wants to bring the magic back to taking pictures. It's called Not Boring Camera, and it's for iPhone and iPad. This app looks and feels like a real camera with a slick 3D interface that's incredibly tactile. You even twist a focus ring, just like the old-school lenses. And the photos? They come out with a rich, film-like vibe you may remember. No weird AI tricks, no heavy denoising, just natural shots. It's a way to make your phone feel less like a gadget and more like your very real camera. So if you want to make photos fun again, grab Not Boring Camera today at the App Store. With Soundbites, I'm Alan Davidson for CBS News.
At Wave 105 FM, we're more than just a station. We're your platform, your voice, your conversation. We're talking about what matters most to you today and in our future. And we want you to be part of it. Got something to say? We're listening. Different opinions? Bring them on. Let's talk, let's debate, let's connect, because every voice counts. Call or WhatsApp us at 671-922-1051. And if that line's busy, hit us up at 922-1052. This is Talk Radio for everyone. This is
Paw for the Guam. Yep, it's me, the Guam Guy. And you can catch episodes of my podcast, The Guam Guy Show, not only on YouTube and Spotify, but every Friday at 11 a.m. on Wave 105 FM.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show hosts, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show. Welcome once again, everybody, to the Brightside here on Wave 105.1 FM. We're back. And, of course, we got to thank some people. Thank you to our friends over there at GTA. We start with you. We want to thank our friends at Sherwin-Williams Paint. The wet season is here and your roof needs to be ready, so don't wait any longer for that blazing center-pounding rain. Get ahead with weather-ready coatings. Be smart, be prepared, and ask Sherwin-Williams. We also want to thank our friends over there at Sentinel Security Solutions. They're Guam's premier provider of professional security services, delivering operational excellence in protective services across commercial, industrial, and residential sectors. We also want to thank our friends at Subway. You got to refresh to be fresh. Visit them online, subwaypacific.com. Pick up your order, and then you can, if you don't want to pick it up, get it delivered to you. It's powered by Good to Go. We deliver. We also want to thank our friends over there at Thank you to MicroPack. If you're looking for the latest in electronics, perfect. The latest and greatest speaker, the biggest one they got. They have it over there for you at MicroPack. You can visit them at any of their locations. They got 2 to serve you in the Micro Mall and 1 on Challen San Antonio in Tamuning. We also want to thank our friends at Code School of Guam. Learn, code, and lead the island's first coding boot camp. Your future in tech begins with us at Code School of Guam. We also want to thank our friends at Chili's. More life, great food, and great value happen here. Once again, you're tuned into the Bright Side. Let's go ahead and get started.
I ran into this girl the night before. She reminded me of a golden shore.
All right, welcome back to Brightside here on Wave 105. My name is Paulie Suba Lunis. It's Monday, September 22nd. We're going to be we'll call Dr. Maget Bavakwa, the curator at the Guam Museum, as there is a call for decolonization exhibit donations. And so when I go to the Instagram of the Commission on Decolonization and the Guam Museum, they're seeking materials linked to Guam's self-determination and decolonization movement. It says here, Guam has a rich history in grassroots movements and community organizations for decolonization. We need your help to tell our story. The Commission on Decolonization and the Guam Museum invite you to share your family's stories and loan items that are linked to decolonization and issues of self-determination, land back, environmental preservation, and culture and language reclamation. These artifacts and information will help us in building an exhibit that highlights the people of Guam's efforts in advancing our island self-determination movement. He's on now.
So,
Hafaday, Dr. Maget Bavakwa, appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, Hafaday, Paulie. No, Haugumas Sidus Masi Presti. Thank you for always promoting the work of the Guam Museum.
Oh, of
helping
course.
us get calls out to the community.
It's little work compared to the work that you're doing, you and your team are doing over at the Guam Museum. And so I wanted to get more information on the exhibit before we do the call out again, because from my understanding, I remember there was a decolonization exhibit before. Is this one very similar?
Ooh. So a few years ago here at the museum, we had the Fanogi Chamorro exhibit. And that might be the exhibit that you're thinking of.
Okay.
And that one was created by Dr. Kevin Escudero
Yes.
and Guampedia.
Yes.
And this exhibit will build off of that.
Okay.
Some people might think of it as a Fanogi Part 2.
Okay.
But one of the goals for this, as you can see in our community call-out, our solicitation for materials, donations of archives, artifacts, other things, is that one of the things that we want for this exhibit, focusing on decolonization and community movements, is that this is going to be talking about the decolonization conversation, but focusing on the people who have ground this movement, the movements, the groups, individuals, and so on. And so that'll be one of the big differences in this exhibit that's coming up next year.
Okay, so we have time then, because this isn't until when next year?
Ooh, so this exhibit will be opening, it's scheduled around March 2026.
So there's a good amount of time. Is this usually the time when you do a call out for exhibits such of this magnitude, that you go back a couple months before we get to the exhibit time? Do you usually, what is this, September, October, November, 6 months out?
Oh, it's better if you give more time.
Yeah.
It's better if you give more time, and so we wanted to put it out there now, so it'll circulate, it'll marinate in the community, because you know how it works with social media. Some people see it, and then they forget about it, and then it'll pop up weeks later, and then people say, "Hey, is this still a thing? Do you need something?" And so it's good to get out ahead of it, give a few months of time, because then we can put it out there, and then we can also remind people, that we're looking for things, we're looking for items, archives, videos, all sorts of things that can help us talk about the movement for Guam's decolonization.
Understood. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I even saw anything that that revolved around our quest for decolonization in the permanent exhibit upstairs, and I don't think so. Right? Everything.
No, that's a good point. There's a very small section in the last gallery.
Okay.
It has kind of a timeline, talks about some of the political development.
Sure.
But this is one of the reasons why we want to have this exhibit, actually, is because, these issues around decolonization, political status change, Chamorro rights, self-determination, now more than ever, people have questions about these things. Like every week, I get requests from middle school kids, high school kids, college students, graduate students who are looking for resources. They're looking for things that the museum has that talk about this. But when I started as curator at the museum 4 years ago, there was actually very little in the museum's collection connected to these issues. Even though this issue of our political status, our political destiny, this is something that people have campaigned for. This is something that people have petitioned, protested for. This is something that people have been increasingly passionate about for several decades. And so this is one of the reasons why we want to do this exhibit. This is one of the reasons we're calling on the community that if you have any type of item that you feel is relevant to telling the story of protests, demonstrations, political status change, decolonization, then reach out. Reach out to the museum, because we're interested in collecting whatever we can to help build up an archive, to help tell this story.
Right. Oh, it would be very interesting. I'd be interested, like you're in one of these, when you're looking for items that you are of interest in. One is copies of correspondence and testimony. I'd be very interested in hearing some of those testimonies throughout the years of what our leaders or just even community members are saying and advocating for.
Oh, no, absolutely. These are what we need to help fill in the gaps. A lot of people don't realize that, increasingly, I don't know if other people realize this or experience this, but, when you ask Google or ChatGPT for information, especially related to places like Guam, indigenous communities, a lot of the information that you get back is very incomplete or completely inaccurate.
Right.
And part of it is because those search engines, those AI, that sort of AI, is relying on whatever is out there in the digital world to give you answers.
Right.
And so you were talking about UN testimonies. So, Google can give you responses if it can about Chamorros who have gone to testify at the United Nations based on whatever it can find in terms of testimonies from people from Guam that is on the internet, but people have been going since 1982.
Right.
And a lot of those are not online, which means whatever ChatGPT, whatever Google tells you, it may be woefully incomplete.
Right.
And so this is one of the reasons why we need to collect this stuff, because there's so many people out there in our community who have it, whether because the activists who have championed these things, they're still with us, or their children, their grandchildren, nieces and nephews are with us, and they've been holding on to these things. And so, but we want to make sure that, that they're in a safe place where future generations can benefit from the knowledge, can benefit from sort of the sacrifice, the advocacy, the work that those before have done.
One of the famous testimonies is inscribed on the outside wall of the Guam Museum from Magalahin Haral, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I saw, I'm not sure, obviously it's just I think it's a Spanish, somebody that's a Spaniard that was documenting, that happened to be there and documented that speech. I saw it at the Mark. And so I'm not sure if the Mark is going to be willing to give some of those artifacts or whatnot for this exhibit.
Well, if somebody has Spanish letters, Jesuit letters, we would love those.
Yeah.
But some of the things that we're thinking people might have are from the 20th century, though.
Sure, yeah.
Those are things that people are more likely to have.
Right.
Although, to your point there, letters that shed light on the Spanish period, they do come out.
Mm-hmm.
New letters, new accounts are found every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of, people translating them.
Right.
And so, but the stuff that, we will probably end up with focusing on for this exhibit is from the 20th century.
Sure.
And so, and the 21st century. And so thinking about groups like Parapada, who opposed the Constitution in its draft form in the late 1970s, OPIR, Organization of People for Indigenous Rights, which was one of the first groups to actively start using, the idea of Chamorros as indigenous people, that they deserved self-determination, that they had rights as indigenous people. Nacion Chamorro, you know, which used direct action protests around issues of land, you know, and cultural rights, decolonization. Even other groups, right? So, you know, these are looking for anything related to, but even we can go back a little bit further. The Guam Congress walkout.
Right.
This is something which is a very historically important event from 1949. But in terms of documentation related to it, there's very little documentation. And so it would be fascinating if, you know, because there was a few dozen members of one house of the Guam Congress that walked out of session in protest. It would be fascinating to find if some families, some descendants, had any materials, you know, archival materials, things written down, anything connected to that could help tell the story to future generations. Because you know, you're familiar with this, is that nowadays you need images.
Right.
You need something to help tell the story. And so one of the reasons why people today, they have trouble understanding something like the Guam Congress walkout is because there's no video of it. There's no pictures of it. And so people don't understand what it meant for our leaders at that time to symbolically stand up to the U.S. Navy, because there's nothing on TikTok
right.
showing Chamorro leaders at that time saying, you know, Uncle Sam, we're not going to come back into session until you decide to treat us fairly, until you decide to give us a government, until you decide to give us citizenship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually, Senor Dave Herrera sent me some photos too, so I'm gonna actually reach out to him and ask him if he's got the permanent photos, not just the ones that he forwarded me. He showed me photos of the sit-in, I believe, that you were talking about at Adelup.
Wonderful.
What was this back in 1995? Nacion Chamorro protests when they occupied Adelup Yard.
That would be wonderful. There was two sit-ins, campouts at the front field of Adelup in the 90s.
Yeah, they even built Chamorro huts there.
Exactly.
They built the huts, yeah.
And it would be great to have photos, protest signs, you know, even T-shirts, because, you know, Chamorros love making T-shirts.
Right.
Even T-shirts from different groups, from different movements. So anything that can help tell people today, you know, and future generations, to help them understand what this movement for decolonization has been in the past, you know, help them understand the importance of it into the future.
Understood. Yeah. And speaking of T-shirts, the Commission on Decolonization is giving out free shirts for those that have any of these items that they're willing to donate or lease for a short period of time, or at least through the exhibit, right? So they don't necessarily have to donate it to the Guam Museum, but lease it throughout the duration of the exhibit?
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you have photos, for example, you can, of course, donate your photos to the museum, but you can also just lend them to us so we can scan them and then you can get them back.
Right.
Or if you have items, we're always happy to accept them as donations. But if you would prefer, you can just loan it to the museum for the exhibit, and then you will get it back at the end of the exhibit.
There you
and
go.
So if people have any questions, because really the goal for this is to you know, remind people that those who have protested for the rights of the Chamorro people, those who have protested for a change in our island status, those who have fought for this issue for a long time, you know, just to remind us who they were. And so in order to do that, you know, you need things from their lives. And pictures are important, but even other objects, everyday objects that can help tell that story. And so, one of the things that in the last Finogi exhibit that I really liked, and I hope we'll have more of in this new exhibit, is that they had, an example of somebody's United Nations badge when they went to go and testify at the United Nations.
Okay.
And so you used to get a badge in the past where you would get, there'd be a photo of you on it. It would have your name. And so it would say petitioner. And so somebody had loaned that the Finogi exhibit a badge, and it was a great way to connect a face to this idea of going to the United Nations, 10,000 miles away and testifying on behalf of your island.
Right.
And so if you have any questions, please give me a call. Give us a call here at the museum. We're happy to answer. We're happy to answer and talk about, because if you're not sure about what might be a good thing to loan or what might be a good thing to donate, we're happy to talk through.
Because it's not just for this exhibit, right? You're always accepting memorabilia, right, or artifacts, right? There's a process, yeah?
Absolutely. And so that's why even if in thinking about this exhibit or thinking in general that they have something that might be of historical value, you can call, you can come down, you can email. And please remember that historical value doesn't only mean that it is the rarest, doesn't only mean that it is the oldest.
Right.
Because what museums also need is that they need something that represents a time period, a community, ideas, and so, one of the things, I think it would be really great if somebody could loan us or donate to us some sort of Liberation Day Spam.
Oh, wow.
One of those, special Liberation Day Spam cans.
Wow.
Because that would be something that is very symbolic. You put that in an exhibit like this, and it's an interesting symbol for people, right?
I'm still collecting all of those McDonald's Liberation Day glasses. I don't know if you remember that. It was like maybe the 80s or early 90s. I'm still trying to collect my own set. The McDonald's had like these limited edition Liberation Day glasswares.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah. So
I love those. I have a few of those too.
Oh, so you know exactly which one I'm talking about then.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know that. So how far back did Spam start doing these limited edition Liberation Day Spam cans? Do you know?
So that I'm not sure about. That's one of the things that I want to know.
Yeah.
People have there have been scholars and artists in the States who have contacted me at the museum asking if we have special Guam Spam cans in our collection, because they want to see photos of it or they want to borrow it for their research, and I'm like, man, somebody should donate us some special, the Liberation's Guam Spam cans, because when you think about how integral Spam has become to Chamorro culture, but also when you think about some of the ways that Spam is connected to other issues,
because
it's a powerful symbol.
Because, I mean, whether we agree with it or not, right, how it has affected us, our diet and whatnot, like you had mentioned, it is still part of our history as to what they were passing out days after liberation, right? Yeah. Even Hershey bars, I remember I saw in a documentary, they're just passing out a whole bunch of Hershey bars to everybody days after and whatnot. And it was like, what do you call it? The rations, I guess. But
oh yes, the K rations.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that was just days after. And so we can have a whole nother conversation and even panel discussions on whether or not that affected us positively or not, but it's still part of our history.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, museums need to have different items to tell different stories.
Sure. Yeah.
And so, because, the Guam Museum, the majority of what we have focuses on our ancient ancestors.
Right.
And telling their stories and so on. But when you think about it, as we move into the future, there will be a need for curators 50 years from now to talk about what life was like in the 20th century.
Right.
Or in the early 21st century. And so we always need to be collecting things so that there will be a sampling of what our community was like at different points in history. So that because for example, like you said, you're mentioning like the liberation cups from McDonald's and places like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're when you're thinking about putting an exhibit together, those types of touches can be very important in helping set the tone for people. Because like when I think about like growing up on Guam, I don't necessarily think about who was governor, who controlled the legislature. I mean, I think about like what the McDonald's toys were like.
Right.
I think about what was on TV, cartoons. What were the cartoons on TV? I think about the VHS tapes that me and my brothers watched over and over and over again.
Right.
And so, talking, how to represent time periods and culture at different time periods. You need artifacts of all types, not just sling stones, not just Sinahi, but you also need the artifacts from other time periods as well.
Absolutely. I really appreciate the exhibits that you put together too, because as you walk through them, you reflect, but then you also you reflect on what it was like at the time, but then also you reflect on how far we've come, whether we like it or not. It's always an opportunity to reflect on things that matter most to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh no, and I love putting them together too. So it's lots of fun.
Right. So again, do you have a expiration date, a timeline when? I mean, we still have until March, but I'm not sure exactly when you are not going to be taking any more.
No, it's really an open call.
Okay.
And we wanted to put this out there so that it's out there so that those who see it and those who have things, feel compelled and feel encouraged
right.
to reach out to bring them in. But at the same time, what Commission on Decolonization and the museum, what we also plan to do is to go and meet with particular families, particular individuals, and also talk to them about, would they like to donate some of their archives or their collections, especially thinking of how, some very important, some activists that were key in decolonization movements have left us, but some key activists are still with us.
And I would love to see on multiple sides, perspectives, not all agreeing with each other in one exhibit. I would love to see that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, no. That's the thing is, I imagine for this it will, I really want it to be kind of grounded in the different community movements. Because that's one of the things that we lose nowadays. Because one of the things that I've noticed, for example, is how Angel Santos, for example, is known still by so many, but for a lot of people, especially younger people, They know him because of the resurfacing of the video of him speaking in Hawaii, talking about injustices and the Chamorro people and so on. But they don't really actually remember much else about him or know much else about him. But they found his words to be strong and powerful, but they don't know much about Chamorro Nation or Nation Chamorro.
Right.
And they don't know actually about him and so many others who took on a heavy social cost to protest in the 90s and were labeled everything from anti-military to anti-American to Kai Mamalo to crazy.
You know what? I'm glad that you bring that up because unfortunately even the media had something to do with that. And when you do your own research and you look up who Ongit Santos is and some of the other people that have been advocating, you understand that not everything that was said in the media at that time reflects who he really is.
Oh, yeah.
The essence of
absolutely.
Ongit. You can't find that just in a newspaper. You won't find it.
Oh, no, definitely. And so one of the things that I would love to do, using Ongit as an example, is, if we have a section for him in this upcoming exhibit, is to kind of talk about Nation Chamorro, and not just Angel Santos, but Nation Chamorro, and then talk about the types of activism that they engaged in, which was very different and very radical, pioneering, and very different for Guam at that time. The idea of blocking access to military, or blocking roads, squatting on lands, the campouts that you mentioned earlier. And then, of course, what became the most notorious act was the jumping of the fence at Kidzan.
Right.
And so wanting to then just, take the opportunity to ground more of these actions and then also put it in the wider context of the fact that it wasn't just one man. It was part of a group. And it was a lot of people.
I still reflect on when he left his property and there was a typhoon that was going to come and it didn't come. However, it certainly looked like a typhoon came through his property.
Oh, yes. Suspicious.
Right.
Suspicious destruction.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes. I think of other families, too. I imagine you'll reach out to the Bordalios and the FBLG family and the Titano family. And there's so many others, too. The Wompats.
Yeah. Oh, yes. It's just a great opportunity to build, to use this. When Melvin asked me to help him do this, I was like, absolutely, because I want to do this exhibit. I believe in it. But also, selfishly, the museum needs to build up its archive and its collection around this issue because so many people are interested in it.
Oh, yeah.
At any given time, there are so many Chamorros that are doing research on this, that have questions about it. And non-Chamorros, too. There's also non-Chamorros, who have roots on Guam, who also want to engage in decolonization, that are worried about the future of the island. And so the museum as a place where people have questions about the past, that want to know about where we're heading next, we need to have more to offer. And so, yes, I'm excited to do this because I'm hoping that we can build up our collection around these issues, around social movements, decolonization, advocacy, community groups, and so on.
I appreciate this, Dr. Maguette. Thank you so much. I'll keep in touch, too. I'm sure there's always something to talk about when it comes to the Guam Museum. But as we get closer and closer to March, too, we'll continue to share.
Oh, yes. So just send anyone who's interested.
All right.
Have them call the museum.
All right.
All right.
Sus Mossy.
Adios.
There you go. Dr. Maget Bavakwa, the curator at the Guam Museum, in partnership with the Commission on Decolonization, doing a call for exhibit donations, right? And so, again, this is signage, banners, posters, photographs, audio and visual recordings, copies of correspondence and testimonies, and clothing, too. You can contact Dr. Maget Bavakwa at 671-989-4455, 989-4455. Otherwise, you can always just reach out to the Guam Museum, which I think that is the number to the Guam Museum, to be honest, and just ask for Dr. Maget Bavakwa. Is that question for me? Question EBT? Oh, no.
Oh,
Okay.
no, I'm so sorry.
No worries. We'll take our break, though. 3:43 in the afternoon, Wave 105.
Alrighty, just wanted to give everybody a heads up on what's going on. I did see that from the Guam Police Department that there was an accident in Dzotnya. Let me just pull that up here so I can read word for word. Let us see. Shout outs to, of course, PIO Norman Analista, who is always taking care of us and letting us know what's happening out there. Here you go, guys. Okay, so this was at 3:05 p.m. today. It says units are responding to a three-car crash by Ilig Bridge in Dzotnya on Route 4. Please expect traffic delays and plan for alternate routes. More details will be provided as they come. So this was about 33 minutes ago, and I just saw it. So again, if you're traveling through Dzotnya and you're wondering what's with all the traffic or all the holdup, there was an accident there that they are taking care of. So again, thank you so much to our friends at the Guam Police Department for keeping us updated and letting us know what's going on there. Drive safe, Guam, and keep it locked. We'll be back with the Brightside.
Bolt your doors, lock your windows, turn off your lights, and come with me into the Weird Darkness. I'm Darren Marlar, the host of Weird Darkness, every Thursday night from 6 to 8 here on Wave 105.1. Every week on Weird Darkness, you'll hear 2 hours of stories of the paranormal, supernatural, legends, lore, crime, conspiracy, mysterious, macabre, unsolved, and unexplained. Weird Darkness, this Thursday night at 6 on Wave 105.1.
Craving bold flavors and unbeatable value? Introducing Chili's Double Down Feast. Choose from chef-crafted protein pairings like zesty margarita chicken with ancho salmon, or go premium with the classic sirloin and half rack of ribs. All served with loaded mashed potatoes, starting at just $24.99. It's a feast made to satisfy. With more pairings to try, one visit won't be enough. Only at Chili's. More life and great value happen here.
Get double the speed at zero extra cost with GTA Fiber. Experience super fast and reliable fiber internet speeds, now starting at 200 Mbps to 1 gig, with upload speeds just as fast as download speeds and 100 times faster than cable internet. You can enjoy lag-free gaming and clear video calls. Fast is also affordable. Sign up for Fiber 200 for only $70 a month. Visit gta.net or call 644-4482. Terms and conditions apply.
Political status impacts almost every aspect of our lives on Guam, but many are unaware of our right to self-determination and decolonization. What does it mean, and how can it improve our quality of life? Join the conversation, ask some questions, and learn more about your right to self-determination and the 3 legitimate political status options for Guam. Tune in to Challenge the Status Quo every Monday from 10 a.m. to noon on Wave 105.1 FM, presented in partnership with the Commission on Decolonization and Glimpses Media.
Eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at SubwayPacific.com for pickup at your convenience or delivery right to your doorstep. Online ordering at SubwayPacific.com is powered by Good To Go. We deliver. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show hosts, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
All right, welcome back. The Brightside here on Wave 105, 3:48 in the afternoon. Jonathan Tavares, we were speaking to him earlier on in the 2 o'clock hour. He had brought up the Pacific Association for Radiation Survivors meeting that took place on Saturday, right? Saturday at 3 p.m. at the Guam Museum. And so there is a release from Senator Telo Taitagui. She was there in attendance. And so she said that a presentation given by retired U.S. Army Sergeant Robert Celestial, the founder of PARS, gave this presentation at the museum. And it says, according to Mr. Celestial, the presentation explained that testing of the first hydrogen bomb at Eniwetok Atoll between 1946 and 1952 remained classified until Lieutenant Bert Schreiber exposed the radiation findings in Guam. And we've had conversations with Senor Celestial, and he shared that with us many times. And he shared that with the community, with the island of Guam for many years, right? And so once again, he shared that. And so the Senator Taitagui says, without Mr. Schreiber's testimony, Guam's exposure to radiation would have remained secret. He stated that when the U.S. detonated a 10.4 megaton hydrogen bomb on October 31st, radioactive fallout traveled with the winds and settled in Guam. Guam received high levels of radiation. Guam came in second highest, being exposed to strontium-90. Strontium-90 is a radionuclide. It attaches itself to our bones. CC-137 attaches itself to our muscles. Guam received one of the highest levels of strontium-90 and cesium-137 contamination in the nation, second only to Salt Lake City, Utah, that is recognized in the downwinder category. In his presentation, he shared that despite having enough evidence to prove service members and the island as a whole were exposed to high levels of radiation, Guam has yet to be included in the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act. Senator Taitagui asked how many attempts had been made to include Guam and RICA and what obstacles continue to prevent its inclusion. She also pressed for guidance on how to best help both advocates and the people of Guam understand the importance of continuing the fight. Taitagui noted there was some hope in getting support from U.S. senators, but questioned what more could be done to convince Congress to finally recognize Guam's need for inclusion in compensation under the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act. Celestial stated that building relationships with U.S. senators is key, but unfortunately not many in Congress, including Speaker Mike Johnson, were interested in taking the issue to vote on the floor. Celestial stressed that persistent advocacy, stronger congressional allies, and leadership from Guam's delegate are essential. And so who are our advocates? I mean, when we talk to Senor Celestial, Josh Hawley is a name that comes to mind, right? But even him and Senator Crapo, when they have to choose between us and their own constituents within their own jurisdiction, they're going to pick their own constituents. And that happened recently. Senator Crapo, Mike Johnson told him, pick one. And of course he's going to, I don't blame him for picking his people in Idaho. We don't have a senator. And so we definitely need to continue to build our relations, right? And I would say that Senor Robert Celestial has advocated for so many other jurisdictions in the continental U.S. to even include Alaska. And they have gotten the benefits through the work of Senor Robert Celestial. And so I would also say that some of these members in Congress and in the Senate owe it to Senor Celestial because of his research and advocacy. And I would say that he's done more than enough. Right? And he continues to fight. He's not giving up on the fight. But I think also it's pretty gratifying to hear that there were a number of senators, local senators, watching that were in attendance. And so he had said that he hopes that the legislature, the office of the governor, Congressman Jim Whelan work together and really push hard. I know that there are people in D.C. too, Chamorros and Guamanians, people that love Guam, are reaching out to their own senators, to their own congressmen in Maryland. I have family members in Las Vegas as well. And that's what it's going to take at this point. It's going to take our family members, the diaspora, to really reach out and say, listen, as I would say even those senators and congressmen that were able to get these benefits for RICA, to have them included, don't forget Guam. Don't forget the work of PARS. Don't forget the work of Senor Robert Celestial. Because through his work and through PARS, there are people that have gotten these benefits. Dr. Robert Underwood was there too. And so here's a quote from Dr. Underwood. In the House, there was some hesitancy, but the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, wanted to kill the bill. He didn't want the complication of including this bill because it would kind of blow up the budgetary situation that he was confronting. So he spent no effort trying to assist, and in many ways he tried to block it. When push came to shove, only the Senate sort of pushed it along. Senator Barnett, who was also in attendance, echoed concerns that Guam has lost ground in recent years and inquired if any commitments from Congressman Jim Moylan have been affirmed. In response, Mr. Celestial explained that he had written to Guam's delegate to Congress, Jim Moylan, and he said, I told him that Guam needs the same health benefits Missouri received, including recognition of cancers and a $100,000 compensation. But when he submitted his amendment, it only sought to include Guam without addressing those benefits. Celestial ended the presentation by recognizing Senator Therese Talai for being a constant champion for PARS and radiation survivors in Guam throughout her tenure at the Guam legislature. He said, I just want to say that maybe the rest of us can also help to push these discussions with the Department of War. We should ask our government leaders to also include this. When they calculate impacts of certain actions, they should also calculate cumulative impacts. We should keep arguing that we have cumulative impacts still unresolved, not just new ones from new activity, but old ones from these old activities, and push that the Department of Defense in resolving the new impacts address the cumulative impacts as well. Oh, I'm sorry, this is Senator Therese Talai that said this at the event. Senator Taidagui expressed her support and pledged to advocate for PARS and Guam's radiation survivors through Guam's membership in the Asian Pacific Island Legislators and Asian Pacific Parliamentarians Union. Through her representation, Senator Taidagui will continue advocating for compensation and justice. In the coming weeks, she will meet with Rafael Pangalangan of the United Nations, who worked on the Marshall Islands Nuclear Legacy Mandate, to find ways to further support atomic veterans and Guam's radiation survivors in securing recognition and compensation under RICA. Taidagui also spoke to Celestial about hiring a lobbyist to aid PARS in the fight for RICA inclusions. And so she said, looking back on PAR's fight for recognition and compensation for Guam's radiation survivors through RICA, it is clear that we have not done enough for our people. Though progress has been made, we consistently face challenges from both the U.S. Senate and Congress and our own congressional delegate who has not maintained the vigilance required to make further progress in this fight. This is coming from Senator Tello Taitagui. We must do everything in our power to get Congress to include us in the RICA Act. In the coming weeks, I will be meeting again with Mr. Celestio along with Rafael Pengalongan from the UN who worked on the Marshall Islands nuclear legacy mandate to seek new pathways forward and to further support the fight against the injustices dealt to those from Guam who have been exposed to radiation as a result of U.S. nuclear weapons testing in the Republic of the Marshall Islands. Again, that's from Senator Tello Taitagui. And so I would say, too, just from having those conversations with Senor Robert Celestio and watching some of these stories unfold even in the continental U.S., right, on how they are advocating and how they have seen some progress. I would say Congressman Jim Moylan has, on the record, said that this is his priority. This is his priority. He said it many times that this is. And so we look to our congressman. He's our guy until he's not. But he's our guy. Continue to persuade him, but then I would even say it's the right thing to do to keep him and any of our leaders accountable. Keep them accountable. What did you say is your priority? Keep pushing for it. And any inch to the goal is progress. It sucks that they keep moving the goal, but nonetheless, keep pushing. Especially if your friend is Mike Johnson, right? Right? 4 o'clock on the dot. We'll take the break. KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cooper Lawrence. Headlined by political heavyweights, conservative media figures, and religious leaders, the memorial for activist Charlie Kirk drew tens of thousands.
I'm Stephen Kaufman at the Charlie Kirk Memorial in Glendale, Arizona. Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica Kirk, stressed that above all, her husband wanted to do God's will.
He wanted to save young men, just like the one who took his life.
Erica Kirk was followed on stage by President Trump, who praised the late conservative political activist as a master builder of people.
He led boldly, and he argued brilliantly, without apology.
Stephen Kaufman, CBS News, Glendale, Arizona.
President Trump's directive to Attorney General Pam Bondi is drawing criticism from both sides of the aisle. CBS News White House correspondent Willie James Inman has more.
Over the weekend, we saw President Trump put pressure on Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice to go after what he sees as his political enemies, saying that the Department of Justice should look into them and adding that justice must be served.
Vice Chairman of IBM, Gary Cohn, appeared on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan Sunday, where he discussed President Trump's executive order, one that imposes a $100,000 one-time fee for visas granted to foreign workers and H-1B visas.
If you're now telling a company, look, you need to spend $100,000 to get one of these visas, you're not just going to ask for a visa and put a name in the lottery unless that is a highly skilled person who you need, who you cannot hire in the United States.
Google is due back in federal court. A judge previously ruled that the company abused its monopoly position to seize control of online tools aimed at advertising technology. Loyola Law School professor Lori Levinson.
The question will be how long Google can continue these practices that are seen as giving them dominance in the very lucrative ad tech market.
Strong winds and large hail were seen across North Texas, fatally injuring one person. Resident Sonia Ryder pulled out her phone to record as the hail pelted her home. Parts of the central U.S. are facing stormy weather at the start of the week. CBS News meteorologist Grant Gilmore.
Clusters of showers and thunderstorms continue producing a threat for severe weather and flash flooding across the Midwest, back into the central and southern plains.
This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. Understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
Where's the best coffee in America?
A new survey from Wallet Hub finds Portland, Oregon is the macchiato mecca. Mostly because of the extremely high number of affordable coffee shops, many with free Wi-Fi. Number 2 is Orlando, then Long Beach, California, Seattle, the home of Starbucks, then Tampa, San Francisco, Austin, Oakland, California, and Pittsburgh. Comparisons were based on average price per pack of coffee, the average amount spent on Java per month, the percentage of population that drinks coffee, Google searches for coffee, and the number of shops with 4.5-star ratings or better. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Dog owners are curious about vegan diets for their pups. New research from the University of Nottingham shows plant-based dog foods are the same nutritionally as meat diets. This challenges long-held beliefs that dogs need meat to stay healthy. Cooper Lawrence, CBS News.
Surprising pathways to success when applying for a mortgage. I'm Mark Hamrick with a Bankrate.com Personal Finance Minute. Qualifying for a mortgage became more difficult after the housing bust, which led to a recession. Sometimes, though, now it's the lack of know-how, not money, that stands in the way of obtaining a home loan. For young borrowers, it is true a high credit score and large down payment help get the most favorable terms, but they aren't a requirement to buy a home. Parents can help younger buyers, including when a cash gift is provided for a down payment. Millennials can sometimes use a parent's help, not because of credit issues, but because their salary histories are so limited. Foreclosure remains on a credit report for at least 7 years, but the impact diminishes over time. The negatives can be countered by good things like a low debt-to-income ratio and an established credit history. If everything else on your report is in good standing, your FICO score can improve in just 2 years. For more, check out Bankrate.com. I'm Mark Hamrick.
Positive protection for your phone. This is Soundbites, and I'm Alan Davidson. Smartphones are everywhere, and so are smartphone thieves. But iPhone users now have a new shield called Stolen Device Protection. It's built into the latest versions of iOS, and you'll find it in the Settings app. Once switched on, your iPhone demands extra layers of security before unlocking key information. If someone tries to reset your passcode or Apple ID in an unfamiliar place, a 1-hour delay kicks in. That delay gives you time to act. You can use the Find My tool to lock or even erase your device. And you can also tailor the protection, choosing which data gets locked and setting safe locations where the extra rules don't apply. It's smart, it's simple, and it adds peace of mind. Look for Stolen Device Protection starting with iOS 17.3. With Soundbites, I'm Alan Davidson for CBS News.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wave 105.1 FM. You're tuned into the Brightside, and that will all be returning real soon. But first, we got to take a look at what's happening out there on the streets. Earlier, we mentioned that there was an accident on Route 4 in Zotnia. That was at 3:05 p.m. We announced it around 3:30 because that's when I saw it. And I think that might be cleared up, but I just want to let you guys know, just in case if you're still experiencing some some congestion in that area. So for anyone who's headed that way, please be on the lookout. Thanks so much for my friends over there at GPD for letting us know what was going on. Otherwise, let's take a look and see. Maybe I can see for myself how much it has cleared up or not cleared up at all. So let me head on over to Zotnya. And again, this is by the Ilig Bridge, right? I'm seeing a little bit of traffic here on Route 4, like right in front of that Tuksa Cemetery. But nothing too crazy. So I think traffic might have cleared up there. Let me just go into more just in case. Okay, I'm already in EPAN. That's done. So that might be cleared up. But if you're seeing anything, let us know. 922-1051 or that's for our WhatsApp, okay? Otherwise, everywhere else is looking okay. There's some heavy traffic here for those who are headed northbound on Route 1. You're maybe coming from the PT area. You're making your way past Asin, but there is already a long line of cars. It starts at the intersection where Adelup is and goes all the way down there. And I believe it has to do with the construction, that I know that they got kind of going on in that area. You got to, maze your way through it. So just drive cautiously as you drive through Route 1, especially when you're coming from PT. Hagåtña is okay. There's not too much traffic happening here, this intersection, which is really good to see. There is a little bit of traffic at the ITC intersection, mostly for those that are headed northbound. But when I look at the opposite lane, it's also looking the same. The line's not that long, but it looks kind of congested there. So just keep that in mind. North and southbound lanes, and even coming out from the Route 14 there, right? You're coming from the outlets. There's just a little bit of traffic. The intersection where the two gas stations are, right? Where Mobile is, that's clear. That's nice. And then if you're making your way northbound on Route 1, you could still catch some traffic as you head to the mall. So you do got traffic a little bit around your main intersection. So just drive safely and slowly as you continue throughout your commute. A big shout out is going out to our friends at Guam Auto Spot. Check them out online at guamautospot.com today. Or you can even, check out how you can schedule your test drive. That's going to happen there. You can also see what they got on the lot for you. Big shout out to Guam Auto Spot. And, of course, to our friends over there, Mobile Oil Guam. Energy lives here. Be sure you check out their app. You can download it and start receiving your rewards today. Once again, a big shout out to our friends over there at Mobile Oil Guam. Energy lives here. Continue to keep it locked. The bright side coming to you.
Hapade Guawasi Pali Suba. Don't forget to catch the bright side every weekday afternoon from 2 to 6 on Wave 105. From big laughs to big issues, if it's happening on island, we're breaking it down with island leaders, business owners, and you. I want to send so much love to our sponsors, Micropack, Local Jerk, GTA, Sherwin-Williams Paint, Chili's, and Subway. Take a break from all of that shade and join the bright side on Wave 105.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show host, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show. How's it, everybody, and welcome back to the bright side. We got to thank our sponsors. Big shout out to our friends at Chili's. More life, great food, and great value happen here. Shout out to our friends at Code School of Guam. Code, learn, and lead at the island's first coding boot camp. Your future in tech begins with us at Code School of Guam. We also want to give a thank you to our friends over at GTA. We start with you. Big shout out to our friends at Subway. You got to refresh to be fresh. Check them out online, subwaypacific.com. Place your order and pick it up at your convenience. Thank you to Subway. We also want to thank our friends over there at Micropack. You can check them out. Get the biggest speaker, the biggest TV, or maybe you're looking for something smaller. I never heard of anyone downgrading, but if you're looking for it, I know our friends at Micropack have got it for you. So check them out in the Micro Mall, or you can even visit them in Tamaning on Challenge San Antonio. We also want to thank our friends over at Sherwin-Williams. Yes, indeed. You can check out our friends at Sherwin-Williams Paint. Don't wait for the weather that is on and off with that blazing sun or pounding rain. Get ahead with weather-ready coatings. Be smart, be prepared, and ask Sherwin-Williams. We also want to thank our friends at Sentinel Security Solutions. They're Guam's premier provider of professional security services. They're delivering operational excellence in protective services across commercial, industrial, and residential sectors. Once again, thanks so much for tuning in, and let's get the bright side started.
I ran into this girl the night before. She reminded me of a golden shore. She was nothing like your average girl next door. She liked DVDs, tattoos, and Paramore.
All right, welcome back. The Bright Side here on Wave 105. Biba Lunes. It's Monday, September 22nd. Here's our number, 671-922-1051 or 1052. We're online, thewave105.com, as well as our YouTube channel, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. You were at the International Coastal Cleanup, yeah? On Saturday morning?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I did tell everyone I was going to go, and then my body refused.
I've been there
right
many times, and so your health is most important.
Thank you.
But there were a number of people throughout the island. Yeah, that
it was
went.
huge-mongous. I
Yes.
heard. So many people came out.
Yeah,
and I'm so happy about that. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. And so there were members of the Guam Youth Congress that attended, and they were shouting out their colleagues, right? The Manhoban, right? The youth. The Guam Youth Congress had their session on Saturday. I want to say around maybe 10 or 11 in the morning. So this was after the International Coastal Cleanup. Yeah. Somebody's on the line? Oh.
Yeah.
And so they were sharing a little bit about that, just, thanking their peers for seeing the importance of the International Coastal Cleanup and thanking them for their efforts. There were a couple of things that happened, right? So there was a resolution from their new speaker, Austin Fortuno. Austin Fortuno has been part of the Guam Youth Congress for quite some time. He also is an assistant, maybe even a paralegal, over at the Attorney General's office. And so in his capacity as a representative of the Guam Youth Congress, he was just recently appointed as the speaker of the 35th Guam Youth Congress, right? And so I wanted to play his I guess it's a speech, right? I mean, because so apparently they had a speaker for the 35th, but unfortunately that speaker had to step down for whatever reason. All I could get, though, and there are many reasons, all I could get, though, is unfortunately they could not meet because of the leadership. And so they, I guess, had to find new leadership. But before we do that, we will Senor Joe Maulik is on the line, yeah? Joe Maulik, did you go to the Guam Museum on Saturday?
Yes,
you did. You did. How was it?
It was, I was with Yvonne.
Okay.
Yeah. It was crowded.
Yeah.
And I met up with Donnie Wednesday and Bobby.
Oh, you met up with them on Wednesday?
No.
Oh, on Saturday.
Saturday.
So they were there too.
There.
They were there
They
too.
were there.
Nice. Yeah. That's good.
And they serve good food.
Heck yeah.
I took the ham, red rice.
Wow.
And Caribbean and
So it was.
Caribbean.
So it wasn't just Jessa then.
The coconut tea glass. Who's that guy that on Wednesday with Ron? What's his name?
Senor David Herrera.
Herrera was there.
Yeah.
He sat on the table and
There you
we
go.
were eating the food.
There you go. Senor Herrera is going to host this Wednesday. It'll be him hosting.
Yeah, and Yvonne was sitting on the very end of the table, and I think he asked Yvonne, "Is he your husband?" Yvonne goes, "That's my dad."
Well, you still look young. That's why. You don't look like you're 80 years old.
No, brother in that car accident, he's I think he's 80, and I'll be 81.
You'll be 8. So you guys are like,
behind me. Yeah, he's right behind me.
you guys are only like 10 months apart then? 10 or 11 months?
No.
No?
I'll be
if
81 next month, right?
Yeah, you're not 81 yet, and he's 80. You're both 80 right now.
No, he'll be 80 next year.
Okay, so
December.
he's still 79 then.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I thought you were like my my son and my daughter. They're like 11 months apart.
Oh, and another thing, Mark, my picture from the DPS.
Wait, what?
Mark has my picture for the DPS, the public safety.
Oh, okay, yeah. When you were just a young pup.
He even asked me. You know, I was comparing that with the picture I have here, the house, Yvonne's house.
Mm-hmm.
And we were information in Agat substation. Director Miles were doing the inspection. And I was looking at some of the officers. Majority of them already died, man.
Yeah. Where was the substation back then?
Yeah, and Major Mendoza is also included, and our commander, Lieutenant Doc Carglass. Yeah, we were on formation. And Yvonne was started laughing because all of us got big stomach.
Where was the Hoggett substation? At the community center?
Right next to it.
Right next to it?
It's abandoned. When I went there, it was abandoned. It was fire station was together with the fire. On one side is the fire, and our room on our side is the one police missing. What's the name of that guy again? Will Ron?
Dr. Dave Herrera.
Yeah. We were discussing about, the old times in Agat.
Yeah.
And he's asking me questions. Do I know this guy? Several of the police.
Right.
I told him that one of them, he told Cantalisa is my party. So he keeps asking me some questions, because I was assigned at Agat Police Station for almost 5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe more than 5 years. Besides the security driver from Lake Cabo and Kamaksu.
Right. Senor, I got to run. Heidi Ballendorf is on the other line, wants to talk about Charlie Kirk. His funeral, his memorial was today. And then I also have the director of public health that we're going to be talking to at 4:30. But thank you so much. If the lines are open in the 5 o'clock hour, feel free to call back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Senor. Oh, did you give your bayonet? Did you donate your bayonet to the Guam Museum?
No, because Yvonne...
She said no, right?
I was the passenger for Yvonne and I forgot.
Okay, senor.
Okay.
Okay. Adjust. To line 2 we go. Heidi, half a day, Heidi.
Off a day, my brother. I saw you last week at the Defense Forum, but you were very busy. I was like, "Hey, Paulie."
I couldn't.
I thought that was pretty. That was a pretty good.
It was informative.
2 days. Yeah.
It was informative.
My only criticism really is, were you there for the keynote the day before on Wednesday?
I was able to get the audio file, so I listened. Yeah. I was able to listen.
That guy was a big deal. That's the big deal admiral, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he came with 2 security and apparently his own plane.
Yeah, Admiral Paparo is the one that's actually making the moves here.
Yeah, yeah.
He's the decision maker.
Is he coming here? Is that Admiral moving here?
Oh no! But Indo-PACOM
Yeah.
is they run the show for.
Yeah, that's clear from the 2 days. I mean, I learned. I mean, that was very informative. I just wish my only thing is they should have had that like a couple years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like it's a little late, and then it brought up the ire of certain individuals, and that's the reason why I want to just bring up Charlie Kirk, because we are going to have a chapter in every island in Micronesia. I'm talking this week to one of the TPUSA's field reps, and that's my new mission.
Turning
I've
point.
just been totally distraught over this assassination of this, people want to say he's mentally ill. No, he was clear about what he was doing, okay? He was very clear, and you can research the kind of stuff that guy was into. I'm not going to mention because this is a family show, but it's very, very dark, okay? So parents out there, you have to watch what your kids are doing online, but I digress. And they like to say he's a Christian. Well, he's a Mormon. So I take issue with that, and again, I'm going to probably offend some people. But having said all that, we're going to do TPUSA. We're going to start a chapter, hopefully at the University of Guam soon. Dr. McNitch and I are talking about that, and all the schools. That's our vision, and then we'll move on to every island in Micronesia. So we'll have TPUSA Micronesia.
There you go.
That will be super cool. So I just wanted to say, that was a beautiful memorial. If you didn't get a chance, everyone should watch it, especially the Vice President's speech. His widow, Erica. Did you see Erica's?
Yes, I did.
Her remarks.
Yep, that's the one. That's the one that I made sure to listen to, and so yeah.
And last week she was amazing too. 2 days after Charlie was gunned down, I think I've mentioned to you before, maybe not, but I listened to Charlie probably too. I found Charlie right before COVID or right around COVID, and I listened to him like 2 hours a day. So I kind of feel like I lost my pastor. Right?
I was listening to him since the start, right? And you were also sharing with me some of the links to his podcast.
Such a wise. 31 years old, and anyway, but we want to, bring his light and his wisdom, add to it here in Micronesia. So I'm going to report back to you what I'm after I talk to the field rep this week, and hopefully we'll get started starting chapters in Guam. And like I said, it'd be great to take it. I'd like to get to every island. I think I know people on every island.
Charlie Hermosa shared with me a memorial that's this weekend.
Yeah, he's doing one at Jeff's Pirates Cove. Yeah. So I'm going to try and get there. It kind of cuts into church time, but I thought, well, I figure out something and I can get down there. But yeah, stay tuned because we're gonna. Charlie actually wanted to come to Guam. There was one chapter on Guam at Harvest a few years ago, and the young man that was the chapter president there left Guam in 2022, and he went to college in Florida, and he's the president there in Florida. So he's the one that I'm working with. But he kind of connected me with the field rep and so on. But yeah, he's helping kind of us to get in touch with the folks. But last week, I just will have to say the vitriol and the hate that came out of one particular individual at the forum was so unsettling to me. And maybe in the light of the assassination, I thought to myself, if she had had a gun, she probably would have killed those panelists. I don't know if you were there for that, but it shook the room. And I feel like that virus that was in that assassin in Utah is everywhere because that was very unsettling to me, more than unsettling. I was very concerned about how she spewed hate and vitriol to that forum that day. And I thought, man, if she had a weapon, she probably would have killed everybody up there. So maybe, you know, like I said, it's in light of this, what happened to Charlie, because he was on a college campus, right? And he was just inviting free speech. And here's what happened to him. So we have to really watch that. We really, you know, we need to try to talk to each other, not scream and yell in such a violent, in such a violent manner that I was exposed to last week. And again, maybe I'm a little sensitive because I was like, wow, we just had someone assassinated, you know. I don't ever want to see Guam go down that route.
Oh, yeah. I'm still reflecting on what Arnold Schwarzenegger has said.
What did he say?
The worst of us is not the most of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we have to, you know, we have to have truth and grace. You know, you have to call these things out. You can't just let it, you have to stand up to it, you know? You can't just say, oh, well, we'll just, you know, and pat him on the head or whatever. Or, you know, no, you got to, because I just wonder, like, are they going to try to take out more people that they don't agree with, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it does seem like it's all on the conservatives. The conservatives are the ones being targeted. I mean, really. That's if you have a conservative mindset, it seems like they're the ones being targeted. I mean, you can take it to, remember Representative Scalise? And he almost died at a baseball game. And the gunman that almost killed him and shot a bunch of other people was a Bernie Sanders guy who didn't like Republicans. So I feel like not a good moment for us in America. Definitely not. But
absolutely not.
We will soldier on, and if you didn't listen to all the remarks, I encourage everybody to listen to it. And of course, the music was great. The music was awesome. So,
I appreciate you calling in, Heidi.
Take care.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
All right. 4:30 in the afternoon. We should be getting the director from Public Health. We have a scheduled conversation with her because they have extended the hours for the summer EBT distribution, right? So it's not going to be at the Micronesia Mall. It is going to be at the Rancare building. And so let me see here. Rancare, second floor, Monday, September 22nd. So that's today through Friday, September 26th, from 3 to 7 p.m. And then on Saturday, September 27th, it's going to go from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And so I think the director's on now. Director Teresa Areola. Half a day, Director.
Hi, Polly. Thank you so much for always taking my call and helping spread the word.
Of course. Of course, absolutely. And I appreciate that the fact that you're extending these hours for the summer EBT.
Yes. So summer EBT, which really we should be calling Summer SNAP.
Okay.
So Summer SNAP program, the EBT is just the card itself, in which the vehicle in which the money is loaded in.
Got it.
But it's SNAP dollars that are eligible for any student.
Mhm.
This has nothing to do with income.
Okay.
Any student that goes to any school that participates in the free lunch program, such as DOE, DODEA, and a couple of charter schools. And we have been, we anticipated giving 5,000 brand new students new cards. And we were at the mall last weekend to last Sunday or yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, to my disappointment, only about 2,500 of those folks came out. Now, this is free money, free food. Even if you can afford the food, it's a privilege or a benefit to your child because they go to one of these schools.
Right.
It has nothing to do with income or whether you can afford to buy food or not. Your child is just participates in the school. So every student who was in the school year last year would get it. Now, I need to apologize to the people of Guam because it is summer SNAP dollars that should have come out in the summer, but did not roll out until September.
Right.
But we are working closely so that next summer it is going to be out the month after school ends.
Okay.
This is now a regular program. And I'm a bit concerned, again, because only 50% of all new students that don't have cards did not show up to pick up their cards. Again, $3, even if you can afford it, even if your parents are making great money. It's $177 worth of food that your parents don't have to use their money for.
Right.
And so, and this is limited, a limited amount of money as well as amount of time to use. So if you don't use your $177 that your child gets from this summer program, it will revert back to the federal government January 12th. And, we have no business here on Guam returning free money.
Right.
We're grateful for the partnership with the federal government, and when they give it to us, we should really take advantage of it.
Right.
And so I'm encouraging parents from DOE schools, Department of Education schools, parents from the DEA schools, parents from, there's a couple of charter schools.
Right.
To please, if your child was a new child in the school year last year, please come to Public Health's Rancare Building office in Tamuning and pick up their cards and take advantage of the $177 that the federal government is giving you because they were in school last school year. And so I'm just encouraging. I'm very disheartened that so many. So the majority of them had cards from last year, and that's why it was automatically populated.
Right.
Automatically. That's why it's not that there's only 5,000 kids available. There's over, just DOE alone, I believe, is just under 28,000.
Right.
Most parents already had the card, so that was automatically loaded up on the 12th of September. But we also want to encourage those people that have their cards to use it. Again, this money is not going to stay in the card forever. It will be disencumbered January 12th. So you either use it or lose it. It's one of those things. It's not you don't just hold on to the card and use it when maybe you need it.
Right.
You've got to use it between now and January 12th.
Yeah, no. I still have you're right. It has nothing to do with how much money you make. My kid.
Correct.
It's
It's very different. The eligibility is nothing like the regular SNAP food stamp program where you have to qualify.
Right.
Maybe because of your income, of your need. This summer SNAP is for every child that went to school last year.
Right. And so, like for my kid goes to John F. Kennedy, we knew, like you had mentioned, that this is permanent. You said this is a permanent program.
Now it's a permanent program.
Yeah.
It was initially just a special program, and we weren't certain, but now we were told by USDA that it is going to be a permanent program. So once you have your summer EBT SNAP cards, hold on to it.
Right.
Because next year we'll be able to load it again.
So even after January 12th, I'll use the 177. January 12th, hold on to it. Yep.
Hold on to that card because that card is linked to your child.
Yes.
And as long as the child is in school for the school year of which that summer followed, they will get again. Hopefully, I'm not sure what the amount is, but hopefully it's no less than 177.
Right.
There might be a possibility of an increase. You never know.
Right.
Because of cost of living or however the federal government wants to give us.
Sure.
But there's two appeals here. One is the thousands of people that received their card, that have their cards and was loaded. Please use your money. Last year, there were millions of dollars returned.
So you were able to
Because
track that money
people
then?
actually had the card,
Yeah.
but never went to their favorite grocers
Sure.
and used it.
And so this system is so sophisticated that you saw those monies go right back to the federal
Right
government?
back.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't get to keep it or roll
Yeah,
it over
yeah.
or spread it out among whoever used it.
Right.
No, that money goes right back. And so on January 12th, if you didn't use your $177 per child, you won't see it in your card January 13th.
Right.
It will just zap away.
I'm looking at the schedule too, and so you obviously see the importance of staying after hours on the weekdays after 5 p.m.
So right now, I am, and I really want to make sure I'm paying staff overtime, and I want to make sure it's worth the while,
Right.
worth the overtime pay. We are distributing Summer Snap EBT cards from 3 to 7. So we're staying open 2 hours later for those parents who are getting out of work. And then again, Saturday, 8 to 5. We were at the Micronesia Mall last weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all last week, as well as this past that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But now, this week, we are at the Rand Care building in Tamuning. So I encourage families who have brand new students or new to a school that they don't, or need a replacement card. If by chance you lost your card, please come in and get a new card. The old card will be deactivated and a new card will be issued to your child. Hold on to those cards because moving forward, Summer SNAP dollars is going to be a permanent program.
Do you know if any homeschool students are enrolled? Is that no? Okay.
Again, one of the only criteria other than income base or need is they must be attending a school that has a free lunch program. That's part of the free lunch program. Whether your child eats at school or not, as long as the school is part of the free lunch program, your child who's enrolled in that school qualifies. That's the only qualification for summer money, summer SNAP dollars.
Got it.
So, one, please, if you have your summer SNAP dollar cards, please use your money. Go to your favorite grocer. Spend that money in the economy. Let's help circulate the economy, keep people working, and spend that money. And if you don't have your card or your child is new to a school that I mentioned, then come on by this week at the Rand Care building, at Public Health's Rand Care building, Division of Public Welfare, and we will give you a card, and you can go straight to the grocer, your favorite grocer, and spend that money there.
There you go.
Again, this is not about need. I know maybe there's some stigma or perceived stigma, but really, this is a free U.S. dollar program that we should fully take advantage of. Whether or not you can afford to provide lunch money to your child, and just so happens your child is going to public school, take the $177 and use the $177 left from your bank. Take advantage of the free federal dollars. I'm very concerned about usage because the atmosphere in the national level is when you don't prove that you need it or your jurisdiction is using it, there's always a very big chance, especially these days, that it will be reduced or taken away because we don't need it.
Right.
If we don't use it, it's a message that we don't need it. And so I always want to use 100% of federal dollars.
Sure.
kind of the trend in the national perspective right now. When you have an administration that's looking to save money for whatever reason, they're looking at disencumbering programs that have a very slow burn rate, a slow expenditure rate. So it behooves the entire government of Guam to spend their federal dollars, grant dollars, whatever grant program dollars at 100%.
Right.
So we can prove to the federal government we still need that year after year after year.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't think of a program that gives $177 back to families in the school system. So definitely take advantage of it.
Yes.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Director.
Thank you so much, Polly. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Again, please take advantage of it. Go spend that $177 in the economy, in your favorite grocer. Let the economy circulate and flourish. And take advantage of this money. It is not about need or whether you can afford to feed your child. Every child in a school system or school that is part of the free lunch program, whether your child eats at lunch, eats there or not, qualifies. So
thank you.
It's free money that everyone should take advantage of.
While I have you, because as soon as we come back from the break, I'm going to share this release from Public Health about the one laboratory confirmed dengue fever report. And so while I have you, it's still at one? We still have one?
Yes.
One? Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
And I want to just share, we have one case of dengue here on Guam, and I just want it's to let folks know the last time we had an active dengue was back in I want to say
2019, right?
2019 or 2018, a while ago.
Right.
And again, this disease is very preventable. Two things need to happen. Just stay away from mosquito bites. And so, make sure you're well protected from mosquito bites, whether it's mosquito repellent, and ensure that your surrounding area is clean and does not have the ability to capture water, whether it's tires or old pots and pans out there just accumulating water, because that's the breeding ground for mosquitoes. So we just need to keep our areas clean. Now, it's rainy season, and that's very difficult, but as long as we keep our areas in our homes clean and make sure there's not the ability to collect water, we prevent the ability for mosquitoes to breed. And then again, make sure that you properly, if you're going out, or make sure you're properly protected from mosquitoes, especially in the evening hours when the mosquitoes love to come out. It's very preventable, but when you do get bitten by a mosquito that is carrying the dengue fever disease, it's also very, very concerning medically. And so if you have any symptoms of dengue fever, aches and pains, rash, minor bleeding around the nose or gums, please visit your physician, seek medical attention. So, I just remember in 2018 when Vince Ariola, the guy I know,
yes,
the director of DPW, and a lot of agencies teamed up to clean up some specific areas in Dededo that was very prone to dengue and to trash and to other things to eliminate the dengue festering. So we just need to keep our areas and our homes clear from any possibility of dengue mosquito breeding.
Thank you so much, Director. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much, Polly.
Okay.
Everybody have a good evening.
You too.
Drive safely. It's raining out.
There you go. Adios.
Adios. Thank you.
Director Teresa Ariola of Director of Public Health, right, again reminding us that they have extended the summer SNAP program distribution. And so it's not at the Micronesia Mall, Rand Care Building, second floor. This is across the National Office Supply on the southbound side of Marine Corps Drive, right? So today through Friday, September 26th, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then on Saturday, this Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And so who's eligible? Children who enrolled and attended GDOE, Guam Department of Defense Education Activity, that's DODEA, and the Guam Academy Charter School. And then also school-aged children 5 to 18 years old who are not enrolled in those schools and are in the SNAP or the TANF program, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, between July 1st, 2024 and August 6th, 2025. For GDOE and the Guahan Charter School and DODEA, you have had to have been enrolled at those schools between July 1st, 2024 and August 6th, 2025 at the end of the summer operational period. There you go. Those are the updates. If you need more, you can call us. I have a little bit more information. Otherwise, give the Summer SNAP Center a call, 671-735-7321. That's 7321 or 735-7368. 7368. 4:49 in the afternoon. We will take the break. Wave 105.
All right, here we go. We got to take a look here at your real deal traffic report. So let's go ahead and check in with that. Like was mentioned earlier from Miss Teresa, there is a lot of rain going on out there, so the roadways are wet. Drive safely, Guam. Big shout out to our friends at Mobile Oil Guam. Energy lives here. Download the app today and start receiving those rewards. And we also want to thank our friends over there at Guam Auto Spot. You can check them out online at guamautospot.com. Alrighty, here we go, friends. Taking a look at traffic. Last time we talked, the Asin into Adelup area was pretty busy, and that still kind of serves. Still seeing that same traffic, and again, I have a feeling it's because of all the construction, or not construction, but like working on the roads, right? I know that they had some things coned off there for a minute, and I believe that's still the situation. So that's probably why we got all that traffic there. Hagåtña is just a little bit busy for those that are coming from the south headed north. Otherwise, all other sides of the intersection are looking fine up Chikapua Loop. If you're traveling northbound, do expect your traffic delays as we are getting close to 5 o'clock, and that's when a lot of people are getting off of work, or maybe they're already kind of getting into their car now. So we can expect a lot of our main intersections to build up, like here where the mobile station is when you're coming out from Airport Road. It's already a long line of cars from the intersection down. So if you're headed northbound, do expect delays even here at the JFK intersection. And then as you continue, I know we can expect the traffic to build up here at the Pali San Vitores intersection. So just be on the lookout there, friends. Otherwise, everywhere else is looking A-okay. If you are planning to travel through Route 16, Harmon, not too bad there. It is starting to build up, though, at the Harmon intersection, so just be on the lookout for that. Otherwise, I think we're okay everywhere else. If you see anything out there, let us know, 922-1051. You can WhatsApp us. But again, that's your real deal traffic report, and it's all being brought to you by our friends over there at Guam Auto Spot, as well as our friends over there at Mobile Oil Guam. Energy lives here.
Buenas and off the day. It's Damon Michael, your GDOE PIO. Make sure you tune in every Friday at 10 a.m. for our agency's Educuento series, where we give you the latest and greatest from the Department of Education.
Think you've got what it takes to win? Tune in every Friday on Wave 105 FM with Patty Arroyo for the Hilton Trivia Challenge. Test your knowledge and you can score dinner for two at the Hilton Guam Resort and Spa. It's brought to you by the Hilton Guam Resort and Spa, only on Wave 105 FM.
6 o'clock to 8 o'clock every Friday evening. Join Rand and Jenny Kaufman for The Edge of Heaven, a talk show to take you to the fifth dimension where you find out who you are. What is the purpose of your life? How can your purpose be fulfilled? What motivates you to do what you do? What are you searching for? What keeps you going in your day-to-day life? What is real? Why do you care? Why do you work? Why do you love? Sponsored by Burger King, Jay Goodman, and Asmujao Community School.
Half a day at Wave 105 FM. We want to talk. We want to talk about the things that are important to our island and our community, and we want to talk with you. If you want to join the conversation, if you want to chime in, we welcome it. We welcome all points of view, all thoughts, all perspectives. Call or WhatsApp us at 671-922-1051. If that line is busy, then call us at 922-1052. This is Talk for Everyone. Thanks for listening to Wave 105 FM, the talk of Guam.
Here's Energy in 15. Quick power facts from GPA.
GPA smart grid technology helps crews respond faster when outages happen. It allows the system to detect issues and speed up restoration, making power service more reliable for families and businesses across Guam.
And here's another tip from GPA.
Need help with your account? GPA's customer call center can assist with payment plans, account updates, and more. Call 671-647-5787 for friendly support to keep your service running smoothly.
Energy in 15 is brought to you by Guam Power Authority.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show hosts, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back. The Brightside here on Wave 105, 4:54 in the afternoon. Another statement from Department of Public Health and Social Services. Just another reminder that they have successfully moved to their new office over at the Tulahi Professional Building in Hagåtña, right? This is the Bureau of Child Care Services. They used to be in Manilao at the Castle Building, and they have now moved. They have successfully moved to 194 Hernan Cortez Avenue, Suite 208 in Hagåtña. That's the Tulahi Professional Building, and so that's another one. And let me just make sure you have their new office number, 671-969-7255. That's 969-7255, and 969-7256 or 969-7259. So there you go. I know that they were in the process of moving that office right over into Hagåtña, and so we got that release from Julia Rivera, the PIO of Public Health, right? She's she's still acting. Why is their acting still there? I think she I don't know, maybe I'll send over an LOR. Look at because she's been sending these releases, she's been very consistent, and so we appreciate her very
Even on
much.
social media, she's so good at tagging us, and I appreciate
They
that.
found the right person. Sorry,
did.
Dawn.
Sorry, Dawn.
There's another one. See how fast? I just saw this latest release from Julia. Division of Senior Citizens of Department of Public Health and Social Services pleased to announce the observance of National Kinship Care Month for September and throughout the year. This initiative is sponsored by the Administration for Community Living, that's ACL, to raise awareness about the importance of kinship families, children who are being raised by their grandparents, relatives, or close family friends. You know how they say, this is my kin, right? And so this is my blood, my family, right? An increasing number of grandparents and other family members are providing stability, care, and a sense of belonging to these children when they are unable to live with their parents. The National Kinship Care Month highlights the unique strengths and challenges that kinship families and grandfamilies encounter. It is an opportunity to listen to caregivers, share experiences and insights, and reaffirm our commitment to building stronger support systems Additionally, it emphasizes the importance of providing access to necessary resources and services. For more information, you can contact the Division of Senior Citizens at 671-735-7415, 735-7415. There you go. What else do we got here? Senator Jesse Lujan sent something. I think we can. I'll share this, and then on the other side, we'll play that audio file from the Guam Congress building. Guam Youth Congress at the Guam Congress building. It happened on Saturday. But so Senator Jesse Lujan is concerned about the H-1B visa fee. $100,000 is how much a company would have to pay to bring in an H-1B employee, right? And so he's asking for an exemption from this $100,000 H-1B fee due to its unique territorial workforce limitations here in Guam. Establish categorical exemptions for healthcare professionals and defense-related engineering positions located in Guam, or authorize a pilot program exempting Guam's healthcare and defense petitions for a limited period with data collected and reviewed by the administration. He says federal policies are not always one size fits all, and sadly, many tend to be established without the consideration of the impact they would have on territories. Isn't that is a recurring issue, our territorial status. So when anybody says, "Oh, nobody cares anymore," we should care. We all need to care, because it all goes right back to our current status quo. There needs to be more than just status quo with benefits. We need to really get our leaders, not just Senator Will Parkinson, please. We have 15, not one. Senator Will Parkinson is putting together another town hall meeting in MTM on Wednesday, 2 days from now. So you can learn more about any of the 3 statuses that gives more autonomy than what we got now. Free association, statehood, and independence. It is not a town hall meeting advocating just for independence. It is not. Don't let anybody try to tell you otherwise. There are 3 valid statuses.
And even for those who don't agree, you are more than welcome to be there as well.
I hope they go.
And you should.
I hope they go, because then you will be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
How wrong you are.
Stop it, Polly, because I'm gonna have to deal with the caller. I actually had one person who called in, and they had that very defeatist attitudes. Like, I don't know why we're doing all this. We should just keep things the way we are. And I literally told them, I said, you should go to the town hall and express that. They're like, no. And I get it, sure, but why have that opinion if you don't want to share that with anyone?
Yeah. I think that if you do show up and you do mention that, I think there will be many respectful people that will have empathy. I have empathy. I empathize with that thought process.
And exactly. Like, I think we realize why, and I understand that too. I think it's good. You should go. You really should. This is a place to express, how we feel, and we can learn from each other, or talk out why we feel this way, and then maybe things can be reiterated why this won't affect this, or how will it affect this. Like we talked about it before with Mel and everybody and all the different doctors that came in here. They wrote a book about it. They did the studies. They've done everything that you could possibly need to know, and all you need to do is show up, man. And don't be, I think maybe that's why you're right. Like, people don't want to go there because maybe they'll feel ridiculed, right? People are going to.
I don't think you will.
But I think people
you'll
just
be
want to
educated.
educate, right? Correct. They just want to, educate people.
You'll be educated. There's a time where I thought it was silly too.
Yeah.
And nobody ridiculed me.
Yeah.
They were happy to share with me.
Why?
And here's the thing too. I have my own preference.
Yeah.
And not one person on the independence task force or anybody advocating for independence has ridiculed me.
Yeah, right. Or saying that's a stupid decision, Polly.
Free association.
None of that.
Not one person has said other. Maybe they've advocated for their own status,
and they're very strong about their views.
But I've never been ridiculed. You know who I have been ridiculed by? People that just want to keep it the same.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy.
I just don't understand that. I
Yeah.
think what are we looking for within ourselves? What are we looking for in our leaders?
Mm-hmm.
We're looking for visionaries. We're looking for people that are bold, that are ready for these challenges. Like Dr. Robert Underwood, who said Friday, the 1 hour that he spoke. And so here was the thing, KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam, right? So he was supposed to come in on Monday, and he was supposed to have 2 hours to talk with the challenge the status quo. Yes. But it has been postponed. So I reached out to him, and he goes, well, what is it that you would like? I'm like, well, whenever you're available. Maybe you're available Friday. I'm filling in. Maybe we can have a conversation. And so I was thinking, you know what's better than me having a conversation with him? Just giving him the hour.
Yeah.
And so it was so powerful. And so he had a lot to say. So you can go to the YouTube channel and you can listen to it for that 1 hour that he speaks, right? And he said at the very end, when the people lead, the leaders will follow. And so I think for us at this point, we just have to lead the conversation now. Our leaders are not doing it. Our leaders don't have the courage to lead on this conversation. So we'll do it for them, and then they'll follow. 5:04 in the afternoon, KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam. We'll take the break. On the other side, we've got more right here on the Brightside, Wave 105. We'll take that break.
Yes. Oh, I've been on the air the whole time. Keep it locked here, guys.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cooper Lawrence. Over 63,000 people gathered at State Farm Stadium to honor the life and mourn the death of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. Kirk was killed at a speaking engagement in Utah on September 10th. His widow, Erica, was visibly emotional as she delivered her eulogy. Towards the end of her speech, she acknowledged the man accused of the killing.
That young man, I forgive him.
President Trump was one of several political leaders who spoke at the service. The president blamed, quote, the radical left for Kirk's assassination and talked about one way that he and Kirk differed in their messaging.
He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry.
8 months into his second term, the president called for ramped-up investigations into his political foes. CBS's White House correspondent, Willie James Inman, has more.
This weekend, President Trump is publicly putting pressure on the Department of Justice and Attorney General Pam Bondi. In a post on Truth Social, the president said, what about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done, adding justice must be served.
It's an effort to try to silence and intimidate people, but I refuse to be silenced or intimidated.
A new COVID-19 variant is spreading across the country. People are confused as to who can and can't get a vaccine. CBS News' Christian Benavidez has that story.
Many states are now disregarding CDC recommendations. 7, led by Democrats in the Northeast, formed a coalition this past week. 4 states make up a new West Coast Health Alliance, both government groups encouraging widespread vaccinations.
The governments of the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia joined dozens of other nations in symbolically recognizing a Palestinian state, despite strong opposition from the United States and Israel. CBS News correspondent Seth Doan is in Tel Aviv.
This war has killed more than 65,000 people in Gaza, half of them women and children, according to health authorities in Gaza. And a United Nations commission says Israel is committing genocide. But Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu remains undeterred in his support for this war, which Israel launched in response to the brutal terrorist massacre by Hamas on October 7th, 2023.
This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit Progressive.com.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Mom, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotion. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. Consequently, they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Dial pound 250 and say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Food prices are too high for many. CBS News LA reporter Amanda Starantino.
Families are being stretched thin on their grocery store budgets, but experts say there are ways you can save.
Basically, 2 bags are $100.
At this Santa Clarita grocery store, the sticker shock is real.
$16.99 for 1 pack of pecans. It's insane. You would think like $10 or something like that, but it's crazy.
Other shoppers told us they are buying less and stretching meals just to keep food on the table.
It seems to go up and up, so I guess it's crazy. Lately, it's insane. Everything is go up. So sometimes you just pick up 3 things and $20, like just small things. I try to go different stores and pretty much are the same.
The FTC is going after Ticketmaster parent company Live Nation for bait-and-switch tactics. They're being accused of advertising lower prices than what's actually available. Cooper Lawrence, CBS News.
Begin. We are Guam. Wave 105 FM.
Nike has changed its slogan. The sports world and the marketing profession are shaken to their shoes. I'm Jeff Colvin of Fortune magazine with the Fortune Business Update. Nearly 40 years ago, Nike introduced the Just Do It slogan, which fueled one of the most successful and influential marketing campaigns ever. But now it has changed Just Do It to Why Do It with a question mark. Opinions are divided. It's either brilliant or a terrible mistake. The mistake camp says, why change it? Just Do It is timeless, universal, and instantly recognizable, they say. It should be protected, not changed. The brilliant camp says, why do it speaks to today's young consumers who are skeptical about everything. There is another explanation for the change. Nike's stock price is less than half of what it was 4 years ago. Just maybe the company figures it needs to make some big changes. I'm Jeff Colvin.
Surprising pathways to success when applying for a mortgage. I'm Mark Hamrick with a Bankrate.com Personal Finance Minute. Qualifying for a mortgage became more difficult after the housing bust, which led to a recession. Sometimes, though, now it's the lack of know-how, not money, that stands in the way of obtaining a home loan. For young borrowers, it is true a high credit score and large down payment help get the most favorable terms, but they aren't a requirement to buy a home. Parents can help younger buyers, including when a cash gift is provided for a down payment. Millennials can sometimes use a parent's help, not because of credit issues, but because their salary histories are so limited. Foreclosure remains on a credit report for at least 7 years, but the impact diminishes over time. The negatives can be countered by good things like a low debt-to-income ratio and an established credit history. If everything else on your report is in good standing, your FICO score can improve in just 2 years. For more, check out Bankrate.com. I'm Mark Hamrick.
This camera is not boring. This is Soundbites, and I'm Alan Davidson. Most of us just open the camera app, aim, and snap a shot. But one app wants to bring the magic back to taking pictures. It's called Not Boring Camera, and it's for iPhone and iPad. This app looks and feels like a real camera with a slick 3D interface that's incredibly tactile. You even twist a focus ring, just like the old-school lenses. And the photos? They come out with a rich, film-like vibe you may remember. No weird AI tricks, no heavy denoising, just natural shots. It's a way to make your phone feel less like a gadget and more like your very real camera. So if you want to make photos fun again, grab Not Boring Camera today at the App Store. With Soundbites, I'm Alan Davidson for CBS News.
How's it, everybody, and welcome back. We are about to get started with the Brightside in just a bit, but of course, we have to start off this 5 o'clock hour with your rush hour traffic. Shout out to the traffic right out here in our little, what you call it, truck area, where our foremost truck is. There's some traffic there at the gate, so shout out to the fam. If you're listening out there, be safe. I know that's a long line of cars, but don't worry, 11 seconds, guys. 11 seconds. All right. No, just throwing out some jokes to some of our colleagues out there. Hopefully you guys get out soon. I know y'all want to get out. And I know y'all are out there on the roadways as well. So let's take a look. Big shout outs going out, of course, to our friends at Mobile Oil Guam. Energy lives here. Be sure you check them out. They're taking care of you. You can download the app today and start receiving those awards. Thank you to our friends at Mobile. We also want to thank our friends at Guam Auto Spa. Visit them online at guamautospa.com today to get you can get your test drive scheduled, rather, and then you can also see what cars they have on the lot that's available for you. Thank you so much to our friends at Guam Auto Spa. All right, so taking a look at traffic right now. I'm not really seeing too much holdups here. There's still some of that traffic for anyone who's headed towards the intersection where Adelup is at. You got a long line of cars. And then as you continue northbound, the traffic continues in Hagåtña. I am seeing some traffic for those headed southbound. You're making your way towards the intersection in Hagåtña. Not the Chikapua Loop, but the one before that if you're coming from Tamuning. Let's see where else. There is traffic here at this intersection that would lead you to the hospital. Right, and then if you're continuing northbound, of course, you can expect traffic at the main intersections. The ITC intersection, it's not too busy. It's really after you pass the ITC intersection, you'll be caught up in that long line of cars where Airport Road is. So just be expecting that. What else can we anticipate? There's some traffic here when you're headed to the mall. The Pali San Vittorious intersection is actually... Oh, wait, hold on. I skipped the whole thing. Okay, so JFK is good. The mall is okay. There's some traffic there on both sides. And everything else is looking all right. Okay, good. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Usually right at that intersection in Tumon, it does get pretty backed up. But I know maybe when time flies, we can definitely expect it to be a longer line. But don't worry. You know what? We're all in the same traffic. So just go slow, drive cautiously, and be safe while you're out there in the roadways. And again, continue to keep it locked here. This is your Real Deal Traffic Report on Wave 105.1 FM. We'll continue with the Brightside right after this.
Here's Energy in 15. Quick power facts from GPA.
You can do more than pay your bill online. With paygpa.com and our mobile app, you can manage your account, set up autopay, and go paperless anytime, anywhere.
And here's another tip from GPA.
Sign up for GPA Power Alerts to get outage updates sent directly to your phone or inbox. Simply text Enroll to 1-855-252-9998 and stay connected.
Energy in 15 is brought to you by Guam Power Authority.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show hosts, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
I ran into this girl the night before. She reminded me of a golden shore. She was nothing like your average girl next door. She liked DVDs, tattoos, and Paramore. She'd say half a mile ago, por favor. And I'd say sad dispenser too.
Welcome back. The Brightside here on Wave 105. Biba Lunes. It's Monday, September 22nd. Thank you so much if you are just joining us. If you still have a laptop open, you can check us out, the wave105.com, and our YouTube channel, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. So Saturday, over at the Guam Congress Building, the Guam Youth Congress, they had their session, right? And so one of the resolutions was to advocate for Bill 1-38, which is Senator Telo Tatagui's bill. It's the very first bill introduced in the 38th Guam legislature that would advocate a minimum of $4 million from the Healthy Futures Fund to go to cancer care services, right? Before all of that happened, though, they needed to find leadership. And so it's strange, though, because I swear that I watched their very first session in the 35th Guam. It's the 35th Guam Youth Congress, right? So we're at 38, and so 3 years later they introduced the Guam Youth Congress, or 3 terms later, and so that's why they're at 35 and not 38. And so they needed to look for new leadership, which I was thinking they already have leadership. So somewhere along the lines, they had, I'm just reading between the lines and hearing what Austin Fortuno said, who is now the new speaker as of Saturday. Apparently, it was they were having a difficult time having session. And so whoever was the previous speaker was not as consistent, I guess. And so we'll play it. It's now it's basically Speaker Austin Fortuno, Speaker of the 35th Guam Youth Congress, speaking for the first time as their new speaker. And so we'll just play it.
5th Guam Youth Congress is called back to order. Thank you, colleagues. If you might indulge me for a moment, I know it's kind of out of order to be speaking from the chair, but I want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank each of you for entrusting me to serve as your speaker. It is an honor and a responsibility that I take seriously, and I intend to wield the gavel with purpose, ensuring that this body truly serves as the official voice of the youth of Guam. The capacity afforded to me by your trust is something that I am deeply grateful for, and I promise not to waste it, even though we have a few more months of our term left. I also want to acknowledge that this is my final term in the Guam Youth Congress. Having served since the 34th, the persistence to serve our youth and our island remains as strong as ever. While I am nearing the end of my service in the Youth Congress, my commitment to representing the youth of Guam and making an impact has not wavered. I intend to use every opportunity afforded to me to ensure that our voices are heard, our ideas are considered, and our needs are represented. We must also be honest about the reality of our Congress. Since our inauguration, the Guam Youth Congress has not been as active as it should have been. Unguided leadership left us without direction, slowing our progress when our community most needed us to act. That period of inactivity cannot define us. Today, we have an opportunity to change all of that. We are nearly halfway through our term, yes, but the time that we have left is still significant, and we must act decisively. Youth representation is needed now more than ever. We face challenges that affect every young person and family on this island. Youth unemployment continues to limit opportunities for growth and stability. Many of our schools, with representatives who are in this very room today, including Ukuru High School, F.B. Leon Guerrero Middle School, John F. Kennedy High School, and Simon Sanchez High School, still operate under double sessions, placing a strain on students, teachers, and families alike. Our public facilities, our parks, gyms, and government offices are showing visible signs of deterioration, impacting our quality of life. Our tourism industry, that was once a major pillar of our economy, is still recovering. And beyond these, we are seeing our young talent leave Guam for opportunities off-island, while the rising cost of living pushes families and young professionals to make difficult choices. These issues are real, they are immediate, and they require action, not delay. As the 35th Guam Youth Congress, our goal is to bring fresh ideas and the youth perspective to every corner of the government of Guam. We are committed to actively collaborating with our counterparts in the 38th Guam Legislature to ensure that the voices of us, we, the youth of Guam, are not only heard, but are reflected in the policies and programs that impact our island. I also want to recognize and appreciate our Oversight Chair, Senator Shelley Calvo, whose guidance will be critical as we navigate these partnerships, strengthen our initiatives, and ensure meaningful oversight and accountability. We are one island. The youth are its future. But we cannot and should not wait for change to happen around us. We can be the change. We must be the change. Every idea we propose, every project or program we support, and every voice we raise contributes to shaping a stronger and more reliable and resilient island for all of us. As Speaker, I commit to leading this body with determination, with vision, and with purpose. I will ensure that the Guam Youth Congress fulfills its role as a platform for advocacy, for solutions, and for impact. I will work tirelessly to make sure that the youth perspective is present in every discussion that affects our island, from education and employment to public services and economic development. On behalf of the youth of Guam, I thank you again for your trust. I am ready to lead, ready to serve, and ready to ensure that this body becomes a visible, active, and impactful voice for our generation. Together, we can meet the challenges before us, and together, we can become the change that Guam needs. Stusmasi.
There you go. Austin Fortuno, the new speaker of the 35th Guam Youth Congress, right? And so I think he got that unanimously. Those that were the representatives of the Guam Youth Congress that were there all voted in favor of him getting the speakership. And then also a new vice speaker as well was nominated and then approved as well. From Tamuning. I think it's a Toigui. I could be wrong. And so I'm a fan of the Guam Youth Congress. I've been tracking them too, just as track the Guam legislature every opportunity that I'll get to hear and see what they're up to. I've always been a fan of theirs. And so what Austin Fortuno has said is, you know, to bring fresh ideas, making sure that the youth voices are heard, but then also it reflects in policy. I 100% agree. And so they've introduced some bills in the past, some that I don't necessarily agree with, but nonetheless respect and see how, you know, they go through the same processes, right? And I'm inspired by their work and their also their passion for being in politics, but then also just in public service. I was speaking at the Junior Achievement. It's their new season. It was a meet and greet this Saturday morning as well. And they asked me to speak. And I'm like, I basically told Josh Miller, who is the executive director, I'm like, well, I don't know why me. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a business owner. But he said, you know, you've spoken to a number of business owners and entrepreneurs, small business owners, and maybe you can kind of make that connection. And so I was honored to speak to the youth. And really the message is always is that they don't need to wait to make an impact. They can do it now. They have the talent, they have the ability, they have the passion to make a difference now. And so I'm inspired by the Guam Youth Congress and hearing that they see the importance of halving session. Their resolution again was to advocate that in favor of Bill 1-38. They see the importance. And when you watch it, it's on the Guam Legislature's YouTube channel. You hear that they also, I mean, again, it is true. We're all impacted negatively by cancer. It is affecting all of us. And so that you hear these representatives of their village, of their school, sharing how much cancer has affected themselves and their families. Let me see what else is here. They also are advocating for affordable health care, sharing how critical it is, right? It is Vice Speaker Atoigui. He introduced a resolution as well to declare October 20, 2025 as Guam Mayor's Office Recognition Day. And so it honors the mayors and the vice mayors and municipal staff from Guam's 19 villages for their dedication and service. He says that the mayor's offices are the foundation of local government, providing services, improving communities, and supporting cultural preservation. He recognizes them that they will inspire people to value local government and future leadership. And so that was another policy or resolution that they voted in favor of to send to the 38th Guam Legislature in once again recognizing Guam Mayor's Office Recognition Day is October 20, 2025. They go through the same process too when they vote, right, for the resolutions, but then also brief extension of remarks. And I would say that they're all pretty inspiring. They all, have the opportunity to give their brief extension of remarks like the senators do in the 38th Guam Legislature, and they have their own convictions and passion for what they do, right? And so a number of them were again recognizing volunteers at the Guam International Coastal Cleanup and the importance of it, recognizing a number of their friends and organizations within the school system, even sharing the challenges that their peers are facing, double session, right? And how they can advocate to put an end to double session, and also advocate for more the public facilities deteriorating, and how we can advocate for more funding for not just the public school, but government facilities and parks even. Austin Fortuno brings up the tourism industry too, declining, or he actually says it hasn't fully recovered. So that's the correct term, not necessarily declining. We're impacted drastically and immediately when the whole economy, global economy, shut down because of COVID, and to have to crawl ourselves out of that, we're still, and it has impacted them tremendously, to the point where Austin mentions it too. But then throughout the whole video session, you'll hear them talking about that their peers are leaving again for better opportunity. And so clearly we have to come together as a society, as a government, as business owners too, the business community, how we can create more opportunities right here. Now even. It's extremely urgent to do that. There was an individual that thought it was important to speak on the passing of Charlie Kirk. And no doubt, there's no denying that Charlie Kirk has impacted many lives. The youth especially. And so this individual representative from Hoggett, he spoke. And so I wanted to just share that. And I think it's fitting because today, again, is Charlie Kirk's memorial service. And so we'll play this one from Representative Babascio of Hoggett.
Happy day, members of the 35th Guam Youth Congress, and to our fellow audience watching live. For those that don't know me, I am Representative Charlie Babascio, and as I'm always proud to say, a former JROTC cadet. I stand here today to recognize the passing of our beloved patriot of the United States of America, Charlie Kirk. I just want to extend my love and condolences to what he has done to the community for his inspiring and heartfelt words of wisdom. He has been an inspiration to all the future generations in the world today and a wonderful servant to the community. He has shown great examples of becoming a leader, having a better character, showing honor, dignity, spirit, compassion, and faith to the people that heard of him and watched his inspirational speeches. Charlie is a wonderful father and servant with 2 kids, married with his wife, Erica Kirk, based in Utah, and was a founder of the Turning Point USA organization. Charlie was an awesome young man that really inspired amongst millions in the nation, to which it taught many people to become better servants, to learn the right principles, and leading with confidence. His leadership and heartfelt words will be remembered in our hearts and thoughts for eternity. His wonderful messages had inspired many lives, and the unforgettable moments we will remember since the start of Charlie's passing. As I speak on Charlie Kirk's passing, we extend our thoughts, sincere prayers, and love for his divine words of wisdom, legacy, and service to the Kirk family, and that he will be remembered forever. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
There you go. So Representative Babascio of Hoggett found it important to say some very nice things about Charlie Kirk, right? In the Guam Youth Congress on Saturday. He thought it was important to use his time to reflect on Charlie Kirk and his life and his legacy. And in front of his peers. And there was no animosity. There was no backlash. There was no There was nobody also that called it out as anything but showing respect to somebody that obviously is important to not just Babascio, but to so many other people. And when I watch that, once again, I am inspired by this youth, because that is how we should conduct ourselves. 5:36 in the afternoon, we take our break. Wave 105.
All right, here we go, everybody. We're going to be taking a look here at your Real Deal Traffic Report. It's the last one for this 5 o'clock hour. So let's find out what has been getting busier and what has hopefully slowed on down this afternoon. Taking a look at traffic, and woo! she busy. That traffic there where Adeloop is, that one died down significantly, which is great. Not too much traffic at the Chicapua Loop intersection. There's traffic going up to Sinahanya for anyone who's trying to leave Hagåtña and make their way up the hill to Sinahanya. You'll definitely be in some traffic, so watch on out, friends. Let's see where else. If you're headed through Zotnya, there is traffic on Route 4 if you're headed into Zotnya, okay? Not leaving Zotnya, but headed into Zotnya, right in front of the mobile station there. We also have traffic in Mangilao, just a little bit at this intersection where Pagat and Mangilao meet, or well, Pagat's not the village, but you guys know what I'm saying, right? Pagat Road, Route 15 and Route 10 meet, so just be on the lookout for traffic there. The Barragata Tri intersection is certainly busy for those who are coming from Momonto to Maiti, making their way to the Tri intersection in Barragata. So just be on the lookout for that. There's also a really long line of cars on Route 8. If you're coming up from the intersection in Hagåtña, right, you're traveling through Route 8 Purple Heart Memorial Highway. Long line of cars before you even get to the intersection, the tri-intersection, I should say, more specifically. So just be on the lookout for that. Into Muning, guys, it really didn't stop here. The line is still very much the same. No changes there. The congestion's still the same. That Palisan Vitores intersection, right, that I was talking about in Tuman, where I was really surprised it wasn't busy, it's definitely busy now. You got a long line of cars that almost gets close to the Lipog Drive. That would lead you into like the Harmon Industrial Park, so just be on the lookout for that. And then in the Dedido area, it's not too bad there, which is great. Harmon Loop Road is definitely busy, and that's pretty much it. Zigo's looking okay. The south is looking okay, except for where we called it out in Zotnya. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Just drive safe, Guahan, wherever you're headed to, north, south, east, west, and continue to keep it locked here. Once again, this is your Real Deal Traffic Report. It's being brought to you by friends over there, Mobile Oil Guam. Energy lives here. Download the app and get your rewards today. And it's also being brought to you by friends over there at Guam Auto Spot. Visit them online at guamautospot.com.
And Detailing offers premier services from complete interior cleaning and VIP detailing. And to keep you cool, Pat's also offers factory, ceramic, blacked out, and base-approved auto tinting. For more information, call 647-SLAM.
6 o'clock to 8 o'clock every Friday evening. Join Rand and Jenny Kaufman for The Edge of Heaven, a talk show to take you to the fifth dimension where you find out who you are. What is the purpose of your life? How can your purpose be fulfilled? What motivates you to do what you do? What are you searching for? What keeps you going in your day-to-day life? What is real? Why do you care? Why do you work? Why do you love? Sponsored by Burger King, Jay Goodman, and Asmujao Community School.
The new and improved Chili's 3 for Me deal is here. Starting at $12.99, get a drink, an appetizer, and an entree. You heard right. You can get a Coke, chips and salsa, and an old timer with cheese for only $12.99. Only at Chili's. Great food and value happen here.
Buenas and off the day, it's Damon Michael, your GDOE PIO. Make sure you tune in every Friday at 10 a.m. for our agency's Educuento series, where we give you the latest and greatest from the Department of Education.
The views and opinions expressed in this show are that of the show hosts, guests, and callers. They do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the staff and management of Wave 105 FM, Glimpses Media, or any of our partners. As we strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105 FM, the sound of Guam. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back. 5:41 in the afternoon. The Brightside here on Wave 105. If you haven't heard, Guam Police Department provided an update on the investigation on the complaint of a terroristic conduct at FBLG, right? So GDOE put out this release over the weekend that they received threatening messages via social media, which prompted immediate action by school personnel. GPD confirmed that the individual responsible has been identified and taken into custody. While the investigation is ongoing, we understand that reports of threats can be concerning to the FBLG stakeholders. GDOE wants to assure that FBLG community that we take any type of threat seriously and have taken action to safeguard our students and staff. GDOE will provide further updates as appropriate to the investigation process and GPD findings. And so, a statement from GPD on September 20, the Tumon Tumuning precinct officers investigated a complaint of terroristic conduct, and as a result, an 11-year-old male minor was taken into custody. The case was referred to the Office of the Attorney General. There's no further releasable information. There was a bill that was introduced recently.
And this was about terrorizing through these threatening calls, right?
Yes.
And I remember that, and they're talking about how, would it be the parents then, right? Especially if they were as young as this.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy that this is happening, and that is also being worked on as well.
Yeah. I think also that I don't think that this bill is in the next session, but I mean you have to look at even people need to understand, especially our kids need to know that it's not just a prank.
It's not
this
a
is
joke.
not
Yeah.
fun. This is not just so I can get out of class.
Yeah.
You are disrupting people's lives. You are creating chaos too.
Worries.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, especially if it's one after the other, there are resources that are being expended.
Yeah.
That we don't need to be spending these resources like that. But more so, it is terroristic conduct. It is affecting people's mental stability.
Yeah.
And because you must take these seriously, you must take these calls or these threats as such, not a prank. They are a threat. And so that needs to be the message, right? It's like you are causing disruption. You are causing chaos. And so there needs to be that seriousness.
Yes.
I think Peter Atta says it at that last public hearing. Bomb threats is a disruption. Bomb threats are usually done by in-house students or someone associated with the school. This has to stop. Parents have to know what their children are doing inside their home and outside. It is their parents' responsibility. I think, and again, I don't think that you need a law or the legislature to do this, but one thing that the GDOE can already create, as policy is like what Senor Peter Atta is talking about, is you'll be shadowed for a week. Because he's saying suspension doesn't even work.
It doesn't. No offense, but I think kids... Okay, actually, I don't want to speak on their behalf because it's a different age. But
Sure.
At least when I was going to school, suspension meant like you get to stay home.
You got what you wanted.
You get to... Exactly. You don't have to come to school. I don't think suspension really teaches anything at all. If I'm just from my own... Actually, not my own personal experience. I was a good kid. I was never suspended in that way. But... yeah, I don't know how effective it really is, you know?
Don't get me wrong. I'm praying for this 11-year-old.
No, same, right? I mean, it's sad because, of course, you want them to know how serious it is. But again, you don't want to, I guess.
There are consequences.
There has to be consequences.
And so.
Go ahead, sorry.
Well, I don't know, I'm not going to. We don't know what background this
Yeah.
11-year-old has.
Right. We don't know the situation and, maybe why they may be doing this. Some people might say that they want to skip out of school, right? But who knows? Maybe it's something even deeper than that.
It can be.
It can be.
And so I don't know. I don't want to assume
Right.
that they don't have a family or somebody that they can seek.
Yeah.
That what a family should be.
Yeah.
Embrace you, care for you, love you unconditionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if that is not happening in that child's home, then we as a community need to come together.
Yes.
And so what does a family do? Obviously, embrace.
Yeah.
But also
Enforce.
we hold our children accountable.
Yes.
So there still needs to be consequence.
Scared straight.
So nobody should be getting away with anything.
No, I totally agree. And I was thinking about, that, the bill, if they were to sign it and the parents were to get into trouble, how much more worse would that do on a child's life, though? And it just sucks because, of course, it's hard, right? Because we're
Yeah.
just talking about how you don't want to do too much damage, but there definitely needs to be consequences. And if their parents were to get arrested and then they're
Sure.
not living with their parents, whatever situation that they might be going through that would cause them that, maybe that would affect them more. Or maybe it put them in a better situation. Who
Sure.
knows? Yeah.
I think also understanding that there are consequences, but that builds character,
Yeah.
right? That you are accountable for your actions.
Mhm.
However, you're 11 years old.
Yeah.
And so this is not the end of the world.
No, definitely
This is not the choices we do make. It does reflect back on you.
Sure.
Right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so we all make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And so as long as we understand that what we have done is wrong, and then we can grow from there. But then when you're making progress and you look back, you are not the choice that you made 10 years ago. You're not the choice that you made 20 years ago, because you are making an effort to rebound. You are making an effort to be more than that mistake or that choice that you ended up doing years ago. And so I think I even gain more inspiration from people that have come from a place where it wasn't all rainbows and sunshine, right? But they have also found that it was important to do better, to make better choices.
If I can just say one more thing, and I don't think any of them will understand this now, but just know that everything that happens in school and in your life is not the very end of it.
Right.
Truly, and I was listening to someone and they were talking about how the reason why sometimes kids, we think they're just being dramatic, but for them, it's their whole life. That's all they've known is school, the friends they go to. So anything that anything that happens that kind of turns their world upside down feels like the end of the world, because they don't know what adult life is yet. They only know school, friends, what they do with their friends. And so, yeah, and just to kind of expound on what you're saying, right? Like, it's not the end of the world and everyone makes a mistake. So if you do make mistakes here in your school, while you're attending school or just ever in your life, know that you can you might not be able to fix them, right? And go back and fix them, but you can definitely make yourself better.
Right.
Who you are today better.
Yeah.
Truly.
I watched Superman again because it's now streaming.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Where's it at?
HBO Max.
Perfect. I
Yeah.
had to connect that back because my mom
Yeah.
watches 1,000-Pound Sisters.
There you go.
So I'm
it's on
watching Superman.
it's on HBO Max, and again, I still remember. Did you watch it?
I did.
Okay, good.
It was fantastic.
I'm sorry, I'm spoiling it for you.
It's
if
already
you were,
out on streaming,
It's been
guys.
out.
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
It's now streaming.
You
so
had
if
your time.
If you took too long, I'm not apologizing.
Go ahead, Polly.
But he thought he knew his purpose to be on Earth, right? And his mother and his father sent him to Earth, and he thought he knew what it was for, right? Not realizing that his mother and his father told him to conquer Earth.
Take over Earth.
And so the parents that raised him, right, in
Earth
Kansas,
parents, yeah.
said, you know what? We've watched you grow throughout your whole life.
Yeah.
And so your purpose or what you are asked to do does not define who you are. The choices you make define who you are.
Period.
And I couldn't be more proud of you, Clark Kent.
Stop, I can feel it in my chest and my eyes.
And so, they were trying to use that against him. Look at that. See, he came to conquer us.
Yeah.
He goes, no. I've been
saving the earth for how many years
that's
already?
That's never been what I intended to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so again, when he confronts Lex Luthor and says, "I'm human too,"
yeah,
he goes, "You're an alien." He goes, "No, I make mistakes.
Yeah,
one foot right in front of the other, just like any other human." Yeah. And there's this one part that I watched it and I didn't realize it happened, but Lois Lane says, the difference between me and you is I question everything. I question everyone. Every movement that they make. I question it. You think everybody's beautiful. And he goes, isn't that the real punk rock? And so sometimes I have to look back too and say, man, I need to check myself as well, because it's easy to judge people.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, that person's terrible. This person continues to make mistakes one after another, not realizing that they also have had
their own things.
Which
made them to who they are.
And so if you can find the humanity and the beauty in anybody, in everyone, because I think you don't give up on humanity. No. You don't give up on the individual, especially if they're family. That there's beauty in every individual. And it can be easy to discount. It can be easy to throw people aside. I think, but everybody needs somebody that looks at them as the way Superman looks at everyone.
Aww.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Thank you, Superman.
Easier said than done, though.
I agree.
You know what's beautiful? I think we can. I'm going to save some of it because I'm actually going to be speaking to the formerly Underwater World Aquarium of Guam, the curator.
Oh my gosh, yes. Aquarium of Guam.
They are redesigning the Aquarium of Guam.
They are.
You saw that?
You know what? I got to go on a little tour.
Okay.
They didn't have anything fixed.
They're closing on October 1st.
Yes, because they were mentioning to us
Yes.
that they're going to be doing major renovations.
Yes, Alistair. We'll be talking to him tomorrow at 2:10. We'll call him up. And he's going to be sharing with us some of the vision, as they say. The Aquarium of Guam embarks on a bold transformation. Yeah. So I'll save some of it. I'm sure a number of media outlets already have the information, but we'll get even more information when we speak to him tomorrow. But he also they also sent some photos, and we'll share them tomorrow as well, of how what the design
is looking like.
Yeah.
Is it like a super duper
It looks like a bold transformation, like a whole new world. Like
I'm so excited.
The Little Mermaid says, No, that's not The Little Mermaid. That's Aladdin.
That is.
Wrong Disney movie.
It's a part of that world, Polly.
Yes.
That's Little Mermaid.
Yes. So, but like, what's her name? Jasmine from Aladdin says a whole new. It does look like a whole new world, or at least the design looks like it. Yeah.
I'm actually really happy just because, when it was the formerly known as Underwater World,
Right.
that was such a big part of everyone's lives. Growing up, going to the field trips there.
Yes.
So I just want to say I'm really happy to hear that they want to make renovations and they want to, create a whole different thing. I mean, it's
Right.
been so long.
It has been a while, right?
Very long.
Yeah.
Tell me how they lasted longer than the schools.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just saying.
It's been a
It's
part of
been-
my
See?
life too. My first job out of high school was working at
the-
Underwater World.
Shut the front
Yeah.
door.
I wasn't the very first group of people that got hired.
Yeah.
But it was still somewhat new when I got hired. It was
Wow.
I think I was like the third phase of employees to go there. Yeah.
I know, still GameWorks, right?
Yes, GameWorks was there too. That was fun.
I'm glad I got to experience that though as a kid. I'm glad I didn't have to look at the newspaper.
Yeah, it
you
was
know,
a
or
lot
see,
of
like,
fun.
throwbacks.
I have to say, I probably was one of the people that was the fall of GameWorks.
Oh.
Because who paid for those cards? I didn't.
Shoot, me neither. Boy, it was my uncle in the military. I'll tell you that.
So, when people are like, how did it fail? I'm like, well, who paid for the cards? I think they tried very hard to
Keep it around.
but yeah, I again, when I look at, I'm not the only one now. Don't blame just me.
No.
Because when I asked when I thought I was special, but apparently there were plenty people that were very special. 5:59 in the afternoon. We got to get out of here, and then we'll do it all again tomorrow. Mornings with Patty, rolling with dice from 6 to 10. You've got national programming that's going to get us back to another Brightside from 2 to 6. All right here on the Talk of Guam. Everybody get home safe. Be kind to each other, especially out on those roads. Adios.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cooper Lawrence. Over 63,000 people gathered at State Farm Stadium to honor the life and mourn the death of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. Kirk was killed at a speaking engagement in Utah on September 10th. His widow, Erica, was visibly emotional as she delivered her eulogy. Towards the end of her speech, she acknowledged the man accused of the killing.
That man, that young man, I forgive him.
President Trump was one of several political leaders who spoke at the service. The president blamed, quote, the radical left for Kirk's assassination and talked about one way that he and Kirk differed in their messaging.
He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry.
8 months into his second term, the president called for ramped-up investigations into his political foes. CBS's White House correspondent, Willie James Inman, has more.
This weekend, President Trump is publicly putting pressure on the Department of Justice and Attorney General Pam Bondi. In a post on True Social, the president said, what about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done, adding justice must be